Hello and good afternoon, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Nation. This is a special edition episode known as Double Barrel Gaming Presents. I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you know, this is brought out whenever something big is happening or has happened. And yes, Geoff Keighley's Game Awards 2020 will be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is going to be a very long show. According to what we have, it's going to end at 11 p.m. I don't know how they're going to pull off a 4-hour show, but my God, good on them for sure. Of course, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as we wait for people to shuffle in, and hopefully we get a good crowd that wants to hear us talk about the potential biggest news of 2020, which of course is usually the Game Awards, I want to introduce our very special panel. And we're going to start with Gaz from Game On Daily. Dude, welcome to the program. This is the first time we are working together on my show, but I was a guest a couple of weeks ago on Game On Daily, and I want to thank you for that opportunity. Welcome to today's program.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here with infamous Mr. Boomstick and ready to talk some games, predictions, which I will get awfully wrong, so you can make fun of me tomorrow.
Well, listen, again, usually I'll be the first one to say this. These things, this is a chill show. This is a bunch of guys hanging out talking about what we think is going to happen, and probably 99.99% of what we're going to say is going to happen is probably not going to happen. But you know what? That is okay. That is perfectly okay. We're here to hang out, entertain some folks, have a good time. You know, it's the holidays. The world sucks right now, so if we can get any enjoyment out of just talking about playing video games, we will in fact do that. But let me continue with, of course, the introductions. Next up, this is the gentleman that is in the corner of every indie game ever released in the past and will be in the future. And you know something? You got to give this gentleman absolutely credit, because he gives spotlights to games that most people overlook or snub their nose to. Please welcome the indie gamer.
Thank you very much, Boom. Always an honor and pleasure to be asked to come on your shows, my friend. You exude positivity and great gaming passion, and I respect you greatly, my friend. So thank you so much for the invite today. I think it's going to be a real fun one. It's great to be on with Gaz for the first time. I don't even think I've been on with Crispy. Also, obviously, Jamie is always awesome, and yourself, Boom. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's do this. Let's talk some games. Cheers,
well,
Boom.
Thank you so much for being here, brother. Super appreciate. Always great to work with you. And of course, talking about Jamie Moran, the elusive gamer. Not only is he still reeling over the announcement of the Mass Effect trilogy coming back to us to play in all the glory that we know that the game is in early next year, he has been blowing up the charts with his channel, putting out very positive content, and of course interacting on Twitter the way he does. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hey dude, happy to be back. And we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I've been looking forward to this because the Geoff Keighley Awards, the Game Awards, is always an interesting topic.
It is, and you know something, we're going to get into Geoff in a second, we're gonna give our opinions on how he's handled over the course of 20 years. Like, people don't know how long the Game Awards have been going on, but yes, folks, it's been over 20 years, which is pretty crazy. And last, and in no way least, the chain-soaring, Gears 5 playing, the best voice in podcasting, in my opinion. Please welcome Crispy Bomb.
Oh, what is up? A rare noon appearance from the Crispy. And yes, we got some stuff to talk about. We are probably going to be wrong, and you will find out if I'm going to take the L on Friday morning. Just saying. It's going to be fun.
It will.
Well, listen, here's the thing. When you look, there are a lot of big and small opinions about Geoff Keighley. Obviously, the Game Awards are not only produced by him, they are hosted by him. And it is honestly something that the entire community, whether you love him, hate him, or you're somewhere lukewarm, look forward to each and every year for a lot of reasons. You know, the Game Awards originally started on Spike TV, and it ran under the banner, that particular banner, from 2003 to 2013. And in December of 2014, the new replaced decade-old VGAs is obviously now the Game Awards. And you know, if you remember, it used to be a monkey holding a crown for the trophy, and now it's more like an actual award that looks like something that you would win at the Oscars. Now, the quick synopsis of the Game Awards is that it recognizes and upholds creative and technical excellence in the global video game industry. And according to Wiki, it says, we bring together a diverse group of game developers, game players, and notable names from popular culture to celebrate and advance gaming's position as the most immersive, challenging, and inspiring form of entertainment. We strive to recognize those who improve the well-being of the community and elevate voices that represent the future of our medium. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that it. No. I know that it's very, straightforward and very political. But listen, as someone that has been gaming since 1978, video games has never been in the position that it is today. Now, granted, it's a business at the end of the day. First and foremost, it will always be a business. But there are companies and there are heads of companies, very much like Phil Spencer, who take it beyond just being a business, where it becomes a friendship. And obviously there are a lot of people in this community that we work with on a regular basis that have met Phil. I've unfortunately haven't had the opportunity to do so yet. Hopefully that one day will change. But everyone that you speak to about him has nothing but great things to say, because he loves the gaming community. He loves the Xbox community, but more importantly, he loves the industry. And there are a lot of heads of studios that go out of their way to interact with the fans. And, I want to bring this back around to Geoff Keighley, because, Gaz, I know that you were laughing, and you're probably laughing because of what I read. And again, this is what it says. And sometimes we do think that there is, listen, bias is in every shape and form in the world, whether it be racial, which of course is horrendous, religious, sexual orientation. Any type of bias is a bad thing. There's just no way around it. But there is a bit of bias that's still elevated within the gaming media, and sometimes it appears, again, I'm not this is not an accusatory kind of a comment. This is just me basically saying what a lot of people are thinking.
But without saying it.
Yeah, that bias somehow makes its way into this Game Awards. And again, with certain games getting snubbed, other games being highlighted more than other companies, these are the things that happen. But the first question that I kind of want to really kind of just softball this for everyone before we get into the actual thoughts and theories of what each company is going to bring to the table, is exactly what the Game Awards actually mean to you, not only as a content creator, because everyone here is that, but as an actual gamer. And I'm going to start with Gaz. Gaz, for you, again, this has been a long time running program. It has gained incredible viewage over the last 3 to 4 years, and obviously it continues to grow. For you, what do the Game Awards actually mean to you?
I think you summed it up quite well by saying how far gaming has come along. To me, I don't hold it as the be all and end all of gaming awards. It just happens to have the biggest stature in gaming. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Colt Eastwood, why are you inviting me to a party while I'm in this chat? Sorry. But you talk about bias. Geoff Keighley, respect him, a nice guy. But sometimes I see the show as him, emotionally masturbating over Hideo Kojima's stuff or Sony stuff, and I just think, okay, well, that bias is there, but people will complain either way. I just see that as an opportunity for us to kind of celebrate where gaming has become mainstream. You talked about how there was some mascot that was a monkey holding a crown or something.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have Geoff Keighley, who's a monkey holding a crown. No, he's not a monkey holding a crown. But it's come up. The gaming has come up. So to me, it's just nice to see it attain the stature of video, movies and stuff like that. I mean, gaming far exceeded Hollywood time ago in terms of revenue, but watching it, and this is Lord Cognito made me realize this when he came on our show, that we were on the fringes at one point. Gaming has now become mainstream.
Yes.
And I like Geoff Keighley's show. I like that despite, what his coverage or the actual votes, that doesn't bother me. Like the game of the year, you can't tell me what my game of the year is. So
exactly.
It doesn't bother me, but I celebrate it that gaming is finally taken seriously. So that's what it means to me as a content creator. And the reason why I'm saying that was One Day Game on Daily wins an award. I don't want him to say, piss off, you made fun of me on Boomstick's show those years ago. So there's that. But I mean, gamers get annoyed. They get so annoyed. Oh, Geoff Keighley is so biased. Oh, Geoff Keighley is this. Oh, he just loves Sony up. He doesn't like Xbox. You mentioned bias. Bias is inherently existed in all human beings. Obviously, some bias is bad. That's prejudice, like racial or religious grounds. That kind of bias is okay. Problem is he runs a show and people take gaming seriously. Is that okay? And no, well, necessarily not. But just some perspective, guys. It's just gaming has come up and we need to celebrate that, particularly in this shitty year. So can we swear here? Sorry, I've got...
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you can throw a swear. We're all adults here. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I try to, swerve around F-bombs, but...
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll do that. I'll put some soap in my mouth. But just generally... I've gone on for ages, but all I've said is just enjoy the gaming. It's been a crap year, and let's just celebrate gaming. Hopefully the awards throw some surprises, and hopefully they show off something, because last year they showed off the Xbox Series X, and that took me by surprise. I wrote off the show at that point. I got reminded I was wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, again, one of the biggest aspects of this particular show is, of course, the world premieres. Last year, Microsoft shocked the world. As a matter of fact, Aaron Greenberg, let me see if I can just pull it up so I can just read it for everyone and read exactly verbatim what he said. He says this, you will see us and our social handles promoting. Tune in for the Game Awards tomorrow. We hope you'll support the industry and watch. While we have a couple of moments in the show, I would dial expectations way down versus speculation I am currently seeing, especially how big we went last year. Now, I mean, look, I'm not going to say it's a buzzkill. I'm saying that what they're looking to explain is that last year's Hellblade and Xbox Series X were an anomaly for sure. I am expecting that we are potentially going to see, and again, this is my personal expectation, that we could potentially get a trailer, a gameplay trailer of Hellblade, as a follow-up 1 year later. I think that we could potentially see, and again, I'm not going to get into it because we're going to be talking about it in a second, but look, I'll say this about Geoff. I have publicly spoken with him on Twitter. I haven't had the pleasure of actually speaking with him because I don't know him like that. And he doesn't know who the hell I am. Doesn't even know who this channel is, and that's fine. But I have publicly disagreed with some of his tactics. I'll be the first one to say it, but I have always handled myself like a gentleman and a professional. I don't use profanities, especially when I'm trying to make a point, because I think that the minute the curses come out when you're trying to speak to someone, even through text on Twitter, it completely goes, you become deaf to it because all you see and hear is the cursing. So, of course, I have, and he has responded to me multiple times. So we have had a conversation. I may not have agreed with him, but I am going to say this, and I've said this before, and people are probably going to boo me for this or even unsub the channel. I not only respect Geoff Keighley, but I think he has been a beacon of light for the industry. Now, you made this. And that's fine. That's fine. But I think that because of what he has done with uniting the PlayStations and the Nintendos and the EAs and the Activisions and the Xboxes and putting them all under this one umbrella known as the Game Awards, he has solidified the importance of this medium. Again, that's just my opinion, but we'll get everyone else's. But Crispy, let's go to you next on this. For you, as not only as a gamer, but as someone that is invested because you are on several podcasts weekly, what does the Game Awards actually mean to you?
It means let's celebrate gaming and stop with the BS. Okay, people?
Yeah.
That's what it means. You have to understand that when the Game Awards started, yes, I was watching it on Spike TV, which is now Paramount Network. A lot of people don't even know that. So Spike TV took a chance, and they got good views for a long time. But Geoff continued, and they really had a folly, and it was actually in, I believe, 2013.
Yes,
they had the folly of the views involved on cable network. So they chose to almost, it felt like, take a year off. That's what I felt like they did. And me being a very big unbiased gamer at that point. I had a PlayStation, I had an Xbox, it might have been a PlayStation 2, but I mean, at that point, a lot of the PlayStation 3 games are still coming to a PlayStation 2. So I was really fine with, what was going on. And, now I see a bias now, but I also have two games that I think deserve Game of the Year in Ghost of Tsushima or Doom Eternal.
right.
And
Strong
I'm like, I just feel like we should just be celebrating gaming. And, with everything going on, I think it's great that he's really pushing hard to have, great people be involved, and trying to not be biased, even though it seems like he is. And at the end of the day, I mean, the guy's a gamer. I mean, we can't deny that. We've watched him play games. You know what I mean? So I think he's doing what he feels is right. And right now, I mean, two of the PlayStation exclusives, I mean, they're worthy of the conversation, regardless of even me being the Xbox centric gamer. Have to say, I mean, it's definitely worthy. It's just, I feel like you have a lot of games that feel the same, and then you have three of the other ones that feel totally different. And it's like, well, can we take one of the games that feels the same and bring that out and put,
yes, that's a great
what
point.
I'm
That's
saying?
a great point, dude. Great point.
like I mean I think and this is where I go and say, like, Ori, Jedi Fallen Order, like Jedi Fallen Order has probably got screwed the most. But Ori is a totally different experience. Ori is a totally different experience in any of these games, and I feel it got snubbed because it brings so much emotion without words, and that's really hard to do.
I'll say this, and again, this is my opinion on the whole situation. I feel the same way about Ori as strong as you do. I think that, yes, it had some technical issues when it was released, sure. But everything right now is the game is a master. It's a modern day masterpiece. There's no other way to explain it. It being out of the conversation it makes me scratch my head, but it's the same way I felt about Gears 5. Now, Gears 5 was not even nominated last year. And I think that was, again, it's one of those snubs that, again, I'm not implying that there is, some sort of shenanigans going on behind the scenes, but I am going to say that it makes you wonder sometimes. Gears 5 was big enough of a title, great enough as a title, reviewed well enough as a title, and purchased enough as a title to check all of these boxes to be a nominee. Now, I understand that it's the way it works is it's 95 people that pick on a board and this, that, and the third. Yeah, I get all of that. I absolutely get it. But Ori is one of those games that artistically is probably one of the greatest looking games this year, potentially in the generation, right? And then when you look at the story, it's being told with no words. And that's a great point, Crispy. And then you talk about the emotion that comes off of the first, Ori and the Blind Forest. And now you got the follow-up, which continues the story. It's, again, one of the biggest head scratchers for sure. But you know what, Crispy, anything else you'd like to add before we get into...
And I just want to say, Gears 5, because I'm a gearhead, I don't want to bring that up. It got snubbed because everybody said it's just another Gears. It was not just another Gears.
Was that Gears up? That was up last time, wasn't it? That was Gears 5.
Yeah, last year it got snubbed.
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, it did get snubbed because they put a lot of choices in your head. They put a lot of emotion. If you played the game, you know what I'm talking about.
We're gonna have a fight. We're gonna fight. Gears 5 didn't deserve it.
I'm not trying to fight with you because I want to
fight. This is why we
naked fight.
but Ori takes it tenfold over because the visuals that were involved in that game are incredible. Okay, and they told a story without saying any words, and the music. I mean, you want a full-on experience. You have music. You have gameplay because they allowed you to play almost like an RPG completely.
Yeah.
And it's a side scroller, and the visuals still looked absolutely ridiculous. I have never seen a side scroller look that freaking good. I'm sorry, I have not seen one except for Ori look that good. So I don't know who votes on this, but shame on you for not at least putting him as a nominee, for the love of God.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, listen, we're going to get into the particular brands momentarily. We do have to just, I want to catch up on some of the super chats that have come in. The first one is a big bomb from a very generous friend of the show. Robert Jones drops an outstanding, very generous $25 super chat and says, have a great show. Can't be more excited with all the news coming from Xbox. They will likely have a big presence in the Game Awards. They want those 25 million plus eyes on their stuff. Again, so much good news. Indeed, Robert, for sure. And even though I read what is coming out of, Aaron Greenberg, I still believe we're still going to get something special just because it's not as big as the Series X, which, I mean, how do you top that? I don't know.
Why do you do this to yourself, Boom? He's told you, man.
Listen, my glass is always half full. It really is, to a fault. It definitely is. Kirby Zero Louise, good friend and generous friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, PSA for our GeForce powered friends. Make sure you get driver 460.79 today because it has optimizations for a Cyberpunk 2077 and Minecraft RTX. I didn't know that, but dude, thank you so much for the info. The Darsh Knight, a very generous and cool friend of the community, he drops an outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, Doom Eternal, game of the year for me. Gaz, stop swearing, you hooligan. It's an afternoon show.
Dodge, I know where you live. I will find you.
And you know what? I have to do a special shout out because, this is a kid that I absolutely adore. He's my own son. It's my nephew in the chat. Tech Bro Dan is here supporting his uncle. And thanks for being here, Dan. Super, super appreciate you are here hanging out, watching it on the big screen. Hopefully you are enjoying it. But you know what? I want to go to the Indie Gamer. Now, the Indie Gamer, one of the things that I love about your presence within the content creation community, but of course, just the general social media community as a whole, is you are the first one to grab the air horn and get excited about a big AAA game. But where you shine the most and where I think you do the best work is shining lights on games like Song of Iron, which, by the way, we're going to be talking about in depth tomorrow. on the Xbox Factor podcast. And my God, that is a game that you should look out for. It really gave me some Limbo kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, one guy made that game. And like I said, I'm going to try and get him on in a future episode to talk about it. Hopefully he'll reach out to me and we can get that done, because I want to promote
he's an
that
awesome
game.
guy. I'm
yeah,
sure
he seems like a
one.
gentleman. He
Yeah,
absolutely
he's great.
does. But Indy, for you, one of the places where indies do occasionally shine, and again, I have to tip my hat to Keighley for doing this, is we do see some big indie games that a lot of people didn't know were coming get some airtime on these award shows. What do the Game Awards personally mean for you?
Yeah, exactly. Where you're leading up to kind of where I was thinking anyway. So yeah, I mean, you guys might feel like this is a bit of a different take, but yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like the Game Awards are a really good thing. I like the celebration of gaming in general, but also they shine a light on the smaller games. Like for example, in 2018 when Celeste was up for in the indie game category, and it got so much sort of attention through the awards. They do the category under debut indie games, so the studio's very first game is gets a lot of attention. Pick games like Raji and Ancient Epic is in there this year, and what else is in there? Spiritfarer, I believe, and stuff like that. So yeah, some great games getting some good attention on a massive audience, like you've alluded to. I personally love the Game Awards. I love this like celebration of all gaming, all gamers coming together. I know a lot of people feel the bias is there. I don't like to go in too much into that, but at the end of the day, there's always people going to have their sort of like favorite platform, etc., and things like that. But a lot of people have been saying, we did actually talk about this on the podcast. We did a sort of a Game Awards prediction show on there, so I sort of had a little bit of talk about it already, and quite a few people were sort of suggesting it maybe should be sort of 100% voted by the fans, or a bigger chunk, because it's only 10% of the fan.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
It's pretty preposterous. I agree.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say it. A lot of people say it's more. It should be more, but at the end of the day, I'm actually one of the people who sort of agree that it should be a low percentage, because at the end of the day, if you have 100% voted by the fans, then you lead to even more bias, if you see what I mean. So you lead to the bigger audience of PlayStation. They'll just vote for their platform. You'll get people voting and they haven't even played all of the games. So I'm in that camp on that one. I know a lot of people are in a different camp on that, but when you actually think about it and break it down, it's better to have 95 outlets like they've got who actually game for a living and play all of the games on the list. It's up to the Game Awards to make sure that they've got an even spread of like platform specific outlets, if you see what I mean. So hopefully they haven't just got like half of them that are PlayStation and then the rest are multi-plats. But most platforms do, and most outlets they'll review all games, I believe. So yeah, I mean, I think maybe there is some tweaking to be done there. Ori should definitely have been there for sure in the Game of the Year selection. It's an amazing game. It's up there for my Game of the Year with Hades. Those two games are my games of the year. And I definitely think Ori should have been in that list. And it's a real shame. But to add to it as well, I think this is even potentially off the back of the fallout of Ori not getting in there. They did put in the player's voice. I don't know if any of you guys noticed.
Yes,
that, but,
I got emails for it because I'm subscribed where I'm always getting updates regarding that. Yeah, the player's voice is something they added. Yep. Yeah,
so that was good. So that's 100% voted by the fans, which I think is a great addition, and it does then cover that area. And interestingly enough, I did watch it because it goes through a 3-stage thing. So the first stage you have like 10 votes, and then you vote for 10 different games, and there's like 50 games or something like that, and then it breaks down to sort of 15, and then it goes down to a final 5, and you have less votes each time. And interestingly enough, the final sort of selection is actually very similar to the final 5 that we've ended up with from the actual Game of the Year. So there is that to be said. Maybe have a little more thought into it. I don't want to offend anyone, but it's a hard thing breaking down games. But yeah, somehow Ori has not ended up in there when it should have been, and I won't keep talking because I've gone on all too much already. But I love the celebration of games, and I love you know, to see indies getting in the spotlight on a massive arena. So yeah, that's kind of my take on what it means to me, my man.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and great points as always, Indy. Definitely. Real quick, Johnny Patton's in the chat. He asked a pretty good question. On the question, are people genuinely curious to see who wins these awards tomorrow? I personally couldn't care less. I just want to see the reveals. And you know something, Johnny, you're not wrong. You're certainly not wrong. Many people feel that way. But I will say that seeing the excitement when a company or a team that puts their hearts and souls into these games goes up there and wins one of these awards. Now, a lot of these team members, we don't know them, right? We usually, the credits roll by and we're pressing A to get to the new game plus, right? We don't give a shit, right? But it's a big deal for them. I like that they are celebrated, and again, it's going to be interesting to see who actually wins. I mean, my pick for Game of the Year is Ghost of Tsushima because I platinumed it and I absolutely love that game. But it's going to be very interesting. But let's get the final point of this particular opening salvo, if you will. The elusive gamer, Jamie Moran. For you, what do the Game Awards actually mean?
We're going deep on this one. So I used to watch the Game Awards when it was on Spike TV, but in the UK it was on GameTrailers.com, and they had people like Jenna Jameson doing announcing awards and stuff. It was very weird, and Geoff Keighley on one show actually got teabagged on stage. The shows came a long way.
I would watch that.
Just throw that in. That's odd.
It was very weird, very cringe, and
wow.
I'm happy gaming should be recognized as much as it is, and even more so. And I commend the awards for giving gaming that shout out, but it's it just doesn't feel right to me. Geoff Keighley kind of seems up himself, right? I think we can all admit that. He's very much up himself. A while ago, I commented on the whole, how he reacted to the whole, PlayStation controller versus the Xbox reveal, and he actually replied to my tweet, even though he wasn't actually, tags. He must have been searching his own name on Twitter. Do you know how vain you have to be to do that?
Yeah, I would say pretty vain, to be honest with you, because I could care. I mean, if I'm tagged in, I'm going to look at something, but I'm not going to go looking to see who's talking about me. That's a little absurd.
Yeah, and this was within probably about a minute of me posting, so I was like, bit cringe. But I was just like, okay, fair enough. And the awards just don't make sense to me. They held in November, I should say at the beginning of December. Games get snubbed. Jedi Fallen Order got snubbed last year.
They got snubbed this year again. Yeah.
I could have face palmed through a brick wall, right? It was just so weird. And then the thing is about these Game Awards is that I don't get that they held in December. I know why, because ad revenue is at its highest, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's the Game Awards should be held at the beginning of a year, like the BAFTA Game Awards. So so all the judges have enough time to play through all the games. And
every game is counted. Yes.
Yeah. And that just isn't the case because of ad revenue. And it just screams corporate. I know the awards need to be sponsored and stuff, but when you have a dude dressed up as a shaver, prancing around, it's a bit weird. It's out of place. And every 5 minutes, they say, and while we're off screen advertising something else, these awards were given out. And then, awards are given out while we don't see them being given out. We see adverts for sales during an award show. And then there's the trailers. I watch because of the trailers. But the thing is, do award shows need trailers? Do people watch the Oscars because of game trailers? No, they watch because they want to see the film they love win an award. But that's not the case with the Game Awards. People watch for these game trailers, and the awards are just this thing in between. Hell, last year, the big game that ended the show before the Game of the Year announcement was Fast and the Furious Crossroads.
Yeah.
My personal Game of the Year.
It's just a very weird award show, and games get snubbed. If it was based on Metacritic, shouldn't Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Flight Simulator 2020 be nominated? But they weren't.
Right.
No, and
scripted, but
And the reason why, whenever I bring up Flight Simulator, people go, "Oh, because it's a flight sim." So do we have stipulations now? Like, can only certain games, and like some awards don't even make sense. Some nominations, like The Last of Us is nominated for best art style. That doesn't have an art style. Everyone looks realistic and sweaty, right?
Yeah,
art is subjective. I'm gonna be such a piece of on this show. I'm gonna be the contrarian, but I think it's good that you have that kind of contrarian thing. But The Last of Us has an art style. Art is subjective. I don't actually agree with you. Just being a dick on the show, but generally you can take the other view and just say, well, the big problem, and I think you've kind of alluded to this, Elusive Gamer, is that we don't know what they're basing these decisions on. We don't have any insight into this. So some bloke sat at the back has decided, all right, well, I think this is art. It's just weird that we don't get a say in what gets nominated, and that's the problem.
Something to continue your point, guys, and I really want to bring this up. And again, this is not meant to be a conversation or a topic that we're going to go down this rabbit hole, but a perfect example of why this is a flawed system. And I think we're towards the back end of the show, as we're closing out. We're gonna talk about what needs to be changed, what our opinions, what we would change for the Game Awards 2021. But here's a perfect example of the problem. Because we don't know who is actually picking these games, because we only have an inkling of potentially who's picking these games, you could have someone like that journalist from GameSpot who on the air said that she barely played Cyberpunk 2077, but gave it a 7.0. And said that she didn't do a lot of things that a lot of people did, that they were too cumbersome, and she said this live on the air. I mean, I was sent multiple, videos of this. And if those are the types of gamers, and I use the word loosely because everyone here is a gamer. We play games. Everyone that reviews games and writes about games, I don't know if it's a job to them or are they gamers that got the best job in the world. I couldn't say. But do we have 30 out of the 95 like the journalist from GameSpot that didn't play the game but still gave it a 7.0? I don't know. Is that why Ori and the Will of the Wisps is not nominated? Well, I don't know. And these are great questions that should be answered. And I hate to say this. I know that Geoff has been asked these questions in the past, both publicly and I'm sure privately, and he has swatted most of them away. He has answered in a very political fashion, politically correct fashion. But again, we'll talk about on the back end what we want to change or what actually needs to change. But Jemmy, why don't you finish your point, and then we're going to get to what we think Nintendo is bringing to the big show.
Yeah, so like the whole like art being subjective thing, it's like, okay, so shouldn't we throw Flight Simulator 2020 into that?
And I agree with that. Yeah,
the most realistic looking thing ever, right? And it just seems weird to me. And again, I don't look. The awards are held in December because of ad revenue, which okay, fair enough. If that's how the show has to be funded, so be it. But it's like I watch the BAFTA Game Awards and I try and hype the BAFTA Game Awards whenever it comes up in like March or whatever, because they go over all the games.
I think.
Yeah, and like, it's a very well done event. It's a black tie event. It's very serious. There's no trailers, and it gets about around 5% of the views of the Game Awards.
Yeah, it's again, and that's and the BAFTA. If you didn't know what that is a legit. Like, I'm not saying that the Game Awards, Geoff Keighley's isn't legit. It has become legit. I'm saying that is the BAFTA is when you get nominated for that, your peers send you emails or baskets of fruit saying, dude, that good on you for getting nominated. Congratulations.
Why is that?
I think it's because it's for the devs, by the devs. You know what I'm saying? I think it's to celebrate and recognize the extreme amount of talent that goes on behind the scenes in gaming that we are not privy to. Whereas the Game Awards by Geoff Keighley is very a flash in the pan kind of party until someone falls into the bushes, kind of a thing.
Yeah, without sounding like bad, I love Americans, but it's kind of Americanized and overblown.
It's the truth. You can call it like it is.
BAFTA is kind of more low key and it's more sort of
Yes.
like subtle, but it's also like artistic. If you see what I mean, that's how I feel about BAFTA.
Yeah,
Indeed, there's 3 of us Brits, so we can take these
We can- yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. It's a British invasion. But yeah, listen, everyone had a great point. Like I said, on the back end of the show, we are going to give our very opinionated thoughts on what needs to change in and for the Game Awards 2021. Now, whether that gets to Geoff or not, probably not. This is a very small show, and listen, we're all going to be honest, and we're going to be hopefully have thought-provoking comments towards the end of the show. But I want to start with Nintendo because, again, for my followers, for the people that support me, Xbox is usually the big draw, which is what we're going to do third. But I want to talk about Nintendo because, again, for me personally, as someone that has been gaming as long as I have, Nintendo still reigns supreme, holds a huge piece in my heart. I have over 60 games for the Switch. I went crazy over Black Friday, folks. I'm going to take a picture and show you what I picked up. It was ridiculous. It's obscene. And I wait for sales because obviously, I'm retired, so it's only one check per month. So you got to strategically strike when you can get the most value for your dollar. And when GameStop has to buy 2 sometimes get 2 free or get 1 free, I go crazy. So I want to talk about Nintendo and what we are expecting. And in the show notes, I have a lot of things that could potentially happen. Obviously, for Nintendo, we know that they're coming up in March of the 3rd anniversary of, I believe, maybe even the 4th anniversary of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was a launch game for the Nintendo Switch. And we have heard rumblings that Nintendo may be releasing a Switch Pro. That has been talked about, rumored about. People have posted things that they found that suggest that it's real. Breath of the Wild 2 is in active development. Next year, they're going to be celebrating the 35th anniversary of both Zelda and Metroid. So it could be a big year for both. We could potentially see a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. We could see the official and finally announcement of the Metroid Prime trilogy that has been rumored and has probably already been made for the Nintendo Switch. I don't know when that is coming, but hopefully it's sooner than later. And of course, there are just a ton of other things. Gaz, I'll go to you first on this, brother. For you, I don't know what your allegiance is for Nintendo and what you're expecting, but they usually show up to the Game Awards with at least one big bomb. What are you expecting from Nintendo?
I hear through the grapevine that Nintendo's going to have a big year next year. I would love to see more of Breath of the Wild too.
Yes.
Also, Metroid, we know it took a back seat with development on. I think it started from scratch again. I'd love to see the new Metroid. I can't guess on what it is, but I think it's time for Breath of the Wild 2 because we know it's been in active development, as you said. Love to see that. I think that's probably the thing that stands the most chance of being seen, but a Metroid trilogy. Oh, that would be sick. But my bet would be on Breath of the Wild 2. I think that would go insane. That'd be insane.
Yeah, I think you're right, Gaz. I think that we are on the cusp of the game releasing. It's been in development literally since they finished Breath of the Wild 1. And we've seen the trailer of it. It looks insane. And it would be a big, big draw for the Game Awards themselves, but more importantly for Nintendo. And it would be pretty epic to see it released, again, celebrating the anniversary of Breath of the Wild 1 and maybe, just maybe, go in line with a Switch Pro or 4K Switch. That would be kind of dope. I mean, Nintendo is making boatloads of cash with the Switch. I mean, I think it's the 24th or 25th month in a row that they won NPDs. I mean, just no stopping Nintendo. And, you know, I mean, do they need a Switch Pro? No. But will they make more money if they release another one? Probably. And I'll be in line to buy a Switch Pro for sure. But let's get to Crispy Bomb. Crispy, for you, you know, you're an old school cat. I mean, for God's sakes, you're on the Retro Renegades, which plays old Nintendo games on a regular basis. For you, what are you expecting from Nintendo?
Yeah, probably Zelda. I would think Zelda. Metro Prime 4. I mean, it's been a while since that original, little tease.
Yeah, the flash screen with the name that got everybody falling out of their chairs. Yes, I remember that.
I think. Well, Metroid it's been a while, so I think that would be a good one to throw out there. Breath of the Wild 2. I think they're going to go to something different. I think they're either going to bring out a new IP. I mean, Nintendo's really due. I mean, everybody trashes Xbox for bringing up the same games over and over again. Well, I mean, Nintendo does that all the time. So,
the difference is Nintendo kills it all the time.
It kills it for what?
For what?
For those people that want those games, right? So, what does it matter? I want Gear 6. Hey, if they say Gear 6 on tomorrow, I'm good. I'm a happy camper.
I'm gonna have a comatose when they announce that, because that series needs a rest. Needs a rest.
And so does every IP that Nintendo brings out. Everybody eats it up, right?
Man, look at the Breath of the Wild and Super Mario just schooled the whole world in game design. And like when Gears does that, when Gears can actually hit 90 on Meta,
schooled the whole world in game design.
Yeah, it did. Look at the reviews. Look what the game did. We're all talking about what the next Breath of the Wild 2 is. What's Gears going to do? Gears needs to do what God of War did. Go back and change the formula. Make it survival horror. Make some real changes. That's what it needs.
And Gears, I completely disagree with that.
Let's fight this, guys.
Because the people that actually love Gears do not want that. And they actually did too much in Gears 5, in my opinion.
What did they do?
They did. They tried to bring open world in there. I didn't like it.
They did. That's the
I actually really like that about the game. To be honest,
I did not like it. There was not enough going on. They rushed it, in my opinion. And to say that the graphics that Nintendo clearly doesn't have and everybody wants is still not been touched. And not only that, you are using your mobile aspect of the console to push out games that visually do not look appealing.
They do.
And I will go to my girlfriend's 13-year-old that has not touched his Switch in 8 months, and he did not download Animal Crossing Horizon. Okay, he was not into those type of games, and what he's into is the Arcs. He's into the Call of the Seas, Subnautica. He's into all those type of games that continue to update themselves and make them look better and add new content. That's what he's into. So you can sit here and tell me, but at the end of the day, Nintendo only is riding nostalgia. That's all it's doing. So why can't Xbox do the same damn thing? That's what I don't understand.
They changed the game. They do game design in a way like Genshin Impact, for instance. They copied bloody Legend of Zelda. What's the other game? Phoenix Immortals Rising. They copied Zelda. Like, who's copying Gears?
And what is going on? The visuals actually look better, right?
The visuals are one aspect of it. Gears 5's visuals are really good. Its story for me was completely lackluster until the end. It throws a cheap shot at you. Here's a choice. I'm like, oh, you've decided to finally become serious. You have this schizophrenia with your story. Oh, we're really serious now. Halfway through, it becomes stupid with giant robots and just goes all over the place. At the end, it's like the developers remembered, oh, shit, you know what?
Talking about Gears 4 with the giant robots?
No, not Gears 4. It starts off with the giant robot. So Gears 5.
Just don't.
No, Gears 5's rubbish.
You don't want to go
Gears
down
5
that
is-
rabbit hole, bro. You don't
But
want to go
listen,
down that rabbit
gentlemen,
hole.
we
Breath of the
want to
Wild
bring it.
changed.
We want to reel this back in because we're going to get to Xbox in a second because I think Xbox is going to surprise a lot of people. Even though Aaron Greenberg says temper doesn't mean we're not showing up. I think temper means that okay, we're not showing off a new console. Take it easy because you got to remember there's very very hard. But free again, I know that Nintendo really isn't your bag for sure. But I mean, would you be okay with a Breath of the Wild 2 reveal?
Me?
Crispy? Yes.
I can care less.
Yeah.
Nintendo. Look, I am an old school gamer, but I left Nintendo behind when PS1 came out or Sega. You know, the Sega Saturn came out. I left Nintendo behind a long time ago because Nintendo knows how to rehash games. That's all they know how to do. And you could disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. But that's what they do. They rehash games.
Again, they definitely hang. Look, I'm going to tell you this. It doesn't matter what Nintendo releases. I buy all first-party IPs. Maybe that's sewn into my DNA. Maybe I'm a corporate slave. Some people would even suggest. But I love their games, regardless of power. I find myself very interested in what they do. And again, they're wacky. And it's. I mean, the power of the Switch is basically a vanilla PS4 and an OG Xbox One. You know, it doesn't have a lot of power, but they do a lot with it. And you know, again, obviously, you'll have more opinions about what Sony is and Xbox is going to do. But I mean, listen, again, it's not your bag. We totally get that. But you know, I want to go to next to indie, and I go to you specifically, particular in Nintendo because we saw one of their indie titles that's an exclusive currently be nominated for Game of the Year. Obviously, and that's I have it downloaded. I have not played it, and I should be ashamed of myself because I heard that it's amazing. But for you, what are you expecting Nintendo to bring to the show? Because they do usually show up in a big way for their first party, but occasionally they will bring a nice indie in tow that no one saw coming.
Yeah, so the start of this year, I mean, I used to play quite a lot of indies and games on the Switch up until the start of this year when I got my new PC. And unfortunately, the Switch has been neglected massively this year because I've been playing all those indies on the PC. The poor old Switch is just sitting there collecting dust now. But yeah, I mean, I have one thing which I would be literally over the moon. It will be the ultimate thing if it happened for me. If they brought Hollow Knight Silksong to this Game Awards, which is an announcement I've been waiting for so long. So yeah, basically the sequel to Hollow Knight Silksong is being when I went to EGX in 2019, so last year, which is the convention like PAX in but it's in the UK obviously, so it's like a PAX East but it's in the UK. It's a big convention where you play all the games, get hands on and stuff like that. And in the Nintendo area was Hollow Knight Silksong, which they had 2 units for Hollow Knight Silksong, and it was swarmed by many people. It was probably one of the hardest games to get on, apart from obviously the obvious like Cyberpunk queues and stuff like that where you actually had to book in and things. But yeah, so it was getting a lot of attention, and it's my most anticipated indie game anyway. The reason I say it'll potentially a small outside chance of it turning up is, like I say, it was in the Nintendo area, so they have got those marketing rights. They've aligned with them. Obviously, they're very much independent. Team Cherry, they're a very small team, and they beaver away, and they don't give many sort of updates. So it's not much of a massive chance. Personally, I think it will probably turn up in a Indie World Direct, like that sort of style. But you never know, because it has been no E3 this year. It's a big opportunity to get it shown by a lot of people. So yeah, it could turn up. And on the more first party side of things, I'm thinking Breath of the Wild 2 is a good chance that could show up. That would be pretty cool. I don't play a massive amount of like I say, first party Nintendo games. If I'm honest, I do actually subscribe to a little bit of what Crispy Bums say, what it was saying about they are rehashed. So I do agree with you there, my friend. They do a great job of them. but they are regurgitating old IPs, etc., etc. Sorry if that upsets anyone, but I like to see fresh and innovative ideas, new ideas going forward and stuff like that. So that's what I'm all about. But yeah, my Switch was more of an indie machine. Like I say, now I'm on the PC. I don't play Switch quite so much. If any, really, this year has been PC centric and Xbox. But yeah, no, if Hollow Knight Silksong turned up, that would blow my mind completely. And Hollow Knight Silksong is my Cyberpunk. It's kind of like, everyone's going to be so focused on Cyberpunk from now onward, basically, until they finished it. I imagine if that'll be me when it comes to Silksong release. You won't see me. I'll just be locked on it.
And you know something? Again, it's you represent the indie community in a big way, and that's a show that has 25 million plus eyes on it. And it's a show that people have podcasts about. It's people like that tune in to watch it, that are watching it, streaming live. It's a big deal. So a small game like that will go. First of all, the game itself is already going to have. It has a massive following because it's a follow up. So I would imagine that if they're going to show it, and that would be actually, that's a great pick. It'd be good for Nintendo to do so.
Yeah, it's the darling of the indie scene. It's probably their most treasured indie to show off, I would say. So it does suit the occasion, in my opinion. If you see what I mean. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's quite all right. No, absolutely, that's a great point. And, closing out this again, this is a bit of a small topic. I didn't expect it to be big. The next two are going to be probably lengthy. Jamie Moran, what are you expecting Nintendo to bring to the show? Because they have in the past brought some big bombs.
Honestly, it could be anything. People have been waiting on. I can't remember. Oh, Bayonetta 3. That's one that's in development.
Dude, that's a great one. I forgot all about that. Wow.
But considering it's the Game Awards, maybe the Metroid Prime trilogy, I could see being a thing. Honestly, but I'd just like to see some new stuff, because we don't really see, we see new IPs from Nintendo, but nothing like new. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
I would like to see them try something fresh, maybe something more, I don't know, adult orientated, just something different. And I think a lot of people would like that. But yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to see the Metroid Prime trilogy.
I hope so, because I'd really like to play that in HD and on my Switch. I'm going to be honest with you, something I'm looking forward to. I still own the Wii version, which is probably worth about $200, and I would love to rebuy it because Nintendo, that's what they do, and I'm a sucker for it. That's all I can say. But I do want to move on to one of the bigger topics, and that's what we are expecting from, of course, Sony. But before I do want to catch up with some of the super chats and the very generous people that have come in. Pixel Bit G, a generous friend of the show, doesn't drop one but $2 super chats, and he says cooking is now a game-changing mechanics. Dude, listen, you people are gonna laugh at me. One of my favorite things to do in Zelda Breath of the Wild was cook. I must have had hours of just cooking. It's ridiculous. I don't even know why it was so much fun, but I enjoyed it. His second super chat for $2 says Uncharted is a cover shooter stolen from Gears.
Which Gears stole from Kill Switch,
I mean, listen, everyone steals something or another, and Argato Sir drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, I love you, Crispy, but Mario and Zelda games have evolved more than any of the new Gears games. Galaxy and Odyssey are completely different. Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild are completely different as well. And I mean, listen, again, tomato, right? I mean, I think that Gears has evolved. Again, I know it's your big dude bros running and chainsawing people, but I really like what they did in Gears. I know that Crispy didn't, but listen, teaches everyone's own. Oh, another one just came in. Johnny Pattons drops a very generous $5 of jet. I hear the arguments podcasts have made about why show stuff at the TGAs when consoles are selling out. Okay, right. But why take your foot off the gas? I can't argue with that. I say go freaking crazy and show more. And I agree with you there, Johnny, for sure. But I want to move on to Sony. And the reason why I picked them as second is because I'm an Xbox first dude, but everyone knows how I feel about Sony and their first party. And in the Game of the Year nominations, they have 3 PlayStation 4 games. They have Last of Us 2, which I know that it's a great game for everything but its story. I love that game. I put a significant amount of time in it. Towards the end, the game it got ruined for me how they did the story. That's just for me. Ghost of Tsushima, my Game of the Year, deserves it, and Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I can't believe I fell off a ladder with that one. I mean, I loved it. I'm enjoying it. I got to get back and beat that game. I mean, it's again a masterpiece if you enjoyed Final Fantasy. And of course, Doom Eternal is there. And indie, what is the indie game from that's on the Switch only? Hades. Hades is in there as
Hades.
well.
Yeah, it's on PC and Switch. Yeah. Yeah.
But Gaz, I want to go to you first on this. What are you expecting Sony to do? Because, obviously some people will suggest, and I think that you're one of these people along with me, that sometimes, just maybe, this becomes the Sony Awards rather than an industry celebration. And listen, Geoff wears his affinity for the PlayStation brand on his sleeve. There's no denying it that is his brand of choice. Very similar to Xbox is my choice, but the difference between me, he's a millionaire and I'm not. That's another difference. But the difference for me is I hold myself accountable for my opinions. I also like to cover what I talk about fairly. And a lot of people could suggest that doesn't usually happen when it comes to these game awards. For you, Sony's going to be there in a big way. We know it. What do you expect Sony to bring in tow?
Well, I think Sony are in there in a big ways because they consistently deliver on their first-party exclusives, I would say.
Yes, indeed.
So, I mean, whilst we can point at, Geoff Keighley's biases or preferences, I would say, ultimately, Sony just deliver. So if Microsoft start doing that, I don't think there's like some massive conspiracy against it. Although I do sometimes feel, I think Ori did get snubbed because it's like a moving piece of art, if anything. So I was personally disappointed. But as far as Sony's concerned, in terms of newer showings, they don't need to do anything. They tend to stay in their lane, stay silent, and then they deliver, which we've seen this gen, particularly how this gen launched. In terms of new surprises, I'm not expecting them to show stuff. Maybe Ratchet gameplay. I mean, their games are... Their 2021 is stacked. Think about the 2021. Horizon Zero Dawn. Forbidden West. Then you've got possible Gran Turismo. And then you've got God of War, which I suspect will actually get delayed.
I got a funny feeling that I think Polyphony is going to do what Polyphony does, and they're going to delay it again. Yeah. And I think we're going to get God of War delayed. I think that if we get Horizon... Forbidden West, which I'm very much looking forward to, I'll be a happy camper. And of course, you got Ratchet and Clank on top of that, on top of the potential of Silent Hill coming out, the potential of Metal Gear Solid being remade by Blue Point, and a bunch of others. It's going to be a big year if you own a PlayStation 5 for sure.
100%. It's quite crazy that typically Sony are really crap with their first 2 or 3 years of release. Like if you looked at the PlayStation 4, for instance, it was, Bloodborne saved it. The Order 1887, what was it? Flop.
1886, yeah.
1886. It was such a flop. I actually fell asleep playing that game.
I actually quite enjoyed it. That's again, I'm a nerd.
Yeah, I mean, it's different opinions. I've actually got death threats over that game because I gave it a 4 out of 10. But it's like this is a change of tact. Sony are really going in. Although to be honest, I'm just thinking if they do somehow miraculously release all those games in 2021, what will they have left on the horizon? But Sony, I don't think people are expecting a lot from Sony because Sony have kind of declared what's coming next year. That alone is massive. But in terms of the awards, whoever wins, I don't know. I want Ghost of Tsushima to win, even though I haven't completed it yet. I've just started it, and I just love it.
Oh my God, so good, dude. My God, what a powerful story. It's just gorgeous to look at. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
It sucks you into that universe. But yeah, pretty boring on my end, but I don't know. I think Sony can play it safe. They don't feel the pressure. They shouldn't need to. If anything, it's Microsoft, I think, that feels the pressure now.
And for good reason, but I think they're going to deliver. I really do. We're going to get into Microsoft, what I think they're going to be, even though they, Aaron said temper expectations. That still doesn't mean that they're not going to be there. And I think we could see something special and even a surprise. But we will definitely see. Crispy Bomb, for you with Sony, they listen, like someone said in the chat, these consoles are selling out, so they're not going to be. It's not going to a commercial to sell you a PlayStation 5. First of all, you can't find one, and I think they only launched a handful of a million or two throughout the world. It wasn't a big launch for them. It was a very soft launch as opposed to Microsoft, because of, I believe, and potentially the bad the report that we got from Bloomberg where 1 out of 2 had bad chipsets. I don't know if that's true. I don't think anyone ever will, but there's a reason why you can't find a PlayStation 5. What do you expect Sony to bring to the table for the Game Awards? I mean, obviously they have a great relationship with Geoff. There's no doubt about it. What are you expecting to see?
I expect them to take Xbox seriously this time and actually drop some real news. And to be honest, just because of what Jim Ryan said, maybe a week and a half back, with saying that we are looking at Xbox's model and actually thinking about it, and I would love to see a SOCOM.
Oh yeah, great pick, dude.
A multiplayer centric game, okay? Because literally that's what made me a multiplayer gamer. A lot of people don't realize that. I will say it again. I've said it before, but some people need to realize I started multiplayer gaming with PlayStation. So, couch co-op and then internet involved, it was PlayStation. So, I think that game has been thrown to the weeds for too long. And I think, especially in what we're in right now, like a third-person military shooter, I think would be pretty incredible because most of them are first-person. So I think there's a niche there that itch needs to be scratched, as I like to say. And, if they're going to go to more of a subscription-based model, you need to have content constantly. And it starts with having a great IP, which people know, like a SOCOM. So I think they're going to drop some multiplayer-centric things. I also think you're going to see something from either God of War or Forbidden West, in some way, shape, or form, maybe some actual gameplay. I mean, God of War was basically a complete and total tease. So maybe some gameplay from that, or even a story trailer or something like that. I think they're going to drop, at least for PlayStation gamers, some kind of bomb, and they're going to be hyped for it. So, that's the whole point. Like, get people hyped, get people ready to, play your next game. The only problem is it going to really come out when you said it's going to come out? And PlayStation is known for this, to delay and delay and delay. And the only time I ever hear anybody say anything is when Xbox delays. It's just, it's kind of sad. I've seen games delayed multiple times and be out 3 to 4 years later on PlayStation, and nobody calls it out. And just, I don't know. Like, I'm
the
really
last
that
one
type of
took
person.
10 years to come out. That was crazy.
Keep that same energy. Like, I don't know how to respond to some people. I'm like, are you so caught up in loving your plastic box and not see what's going on? And I just, I feel like maybe Forbidden West might be a game that would come out next year. I don't feel God of War would come out next year, just because
I don't think you'd get 2 of those games. I just don't. I
don't
really
think it would be logical either, Boom. I really don't. I mean, I don't think they would do that because those are bombs, and you're going to drop them all in the same year. I don't know. Like, yeah, you would own that year, but then the following year, let's say Avowed comes out and Hellblade 2 comes out and whatever else comes out on Xbox. And then you have nothing that's really of significance coming out from PlayStation side. I feel they're trying to play the long game, just like Xbox, I feel, is trying to play the long game. And I feel like if anything, you're just going to see a delay from one of the two games, because they are both games that people belovedly enjoyed, and for the most part they have critically acclaimed. They are games that people gravitate to, and I think releasing them both in the same year would be asinine. I'm just saying.
I mean, you could bookend them. I mean, you could have one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year. We saw Nintendo do that to great success with Zelda Breath of the Wild at the launch, and then Zelda and Mario Odyssey at the holiday. So it's possible, but I would imagine that because of the mocap situation, because of the current world pandemic, I don't think that they were able to get as much done with God of War. I know Jim Ryan had mentioned it. I think that we get God of War next March 2022. That's just my opinion. But Sony could surprise us. I mean, we don't know. But Indie Gamer, let's go to you. Now, again, we don't know what Sony's going to bring in tow. We do know that currently there's rumors that we could see Silent Hill or Hills being, brought back from the dead, so to speak. We've heard Kojima potentially is working on it, that he's mended bridges with Konami. I don't believe that for a second, considering how it went down. We have heard that Blue Point is doing Metal Gear Solid. They have been working on it for 3 years, apparently. And I heard this even a year ago. I had it on a good source that said they were working on it. They could surprise people. What are you expecting? What are they gonna surprise the fans?
I'm sure they'll have a good showing in general, and a strong showing. I'm pretty damn sure of that. I mean, Xbox put on such a good show last time. They'll definitely want to come back strong, and this time again, I keep alluding to this, but everyone knows it. But no E3 this year. This is the biggest show of the year to sort of get your stuff shown. I mean, they've got a lot of good games in production. Essentially, a lot of them could come out. I tend to, sorry if I always focus on different sort of outside of the box stuff. I focus on different stuff usually rather than the big AAAs. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I think might be definitely confirmed. If not, it's potentially, which is Fall Guys season 3. I know it's old news now, but Fall Guys is a great little indie.
Oh my god, that game is so addicting, dude. I play that.
Yeah.
I've gotten the crown 5 times, and I am proud to say that
nice work, my friend. That's not easy. Good stuff. Yeah, no, it's awesome fun. Get with your friends, and I'm sure that will be appearing on PlayStation segment. But yeah, another game which they've shown off, which I think looks amazing, is Kena Bridge of Spirit.
Oh, dude, that looks so good. I can't wait for that. Yes.
Yeah, it looks really good, that game. And I think they were targeting like April, March or something next year originally, but I don't know if that's potentially probably been pushed, but would be cool to see it again either way. Just to see some more of that goodness, maybe like an in-game sort of a bit of action kind of like playthrough, uncut stuff, or something like that. But yeah, another game as well, which is, I don't know whether this would happen, but it's a game I really want. I'm being a bit selfish in my sort of speak today. I hope you don't mind. But I don't actually have a PlayStation, so I would really like to see, maybe they'll do like a Bloodborne showing of some kind with an update of some sort. And also the thing I would like out of it is Bloodborne coming to PC, and I can get my hands on that game because I wanted to check it out for a while. But that's not really necessarily an actual PlayStation thing. But I think PlayStation are going to be moving more into getting their games across to PC in general. So there is a chance of something like that. All the big boys. I think all you guys are going to cover that nicely. But that's my little take from a few different sort of side steps, if you know what I mean. Hope that's
that's perfectly fine. Real quick, I kind of want to just hit the brakes for a second, and I want to announce this to all the moderators. There is an a-hole in the chat known as Crap Boy something. I don't know what his deal is. I mean, listen, dude, you're listening. I'm going to tell you this. Pick up the hotline and give someone a call, bro. Like, seriously, because I don't know what's going on. You seem very angry, very troll-esque. From now on, anyone that comes in here looking for trouble, and this is to all the moderators, you have full authority, ban everyone, especially if they have Crack Boy in the name. And I'm being serious because this is a fun chat. This is meant to be a good conversation with good guests and a good community. And I don't have time for this. I'm 50 years old. I'm trying to run a program that people enjoy. And if you're going to come here and you're going to try and hurt the program with your shenanigans, you're going to get banned. And Crap Boy, I know that you're listening. I'm going to say this, and I don't like saying things like this, but I'm going to say that you have to be the biggest loser I've ever met in my entire life, that you would come to this program and have 19 different screen names. My God, you have an identity crisis. And again, pick up that phone, give someone a call that you trust, and talk it out, because wow, bro. Like, wow.
He did. He had like 19 different people coming.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Every show, I'm banning him 6-7 times. I mean,
he keeps coming and doing that.
Oh, dude, every show, it's crazy. Like, it's really.
PlayStation had games. What are you doing, bro?
There you go. Thank you. I was going to say that. Thank you.
I don't know, but listen. Anyway, let's continue, of course, with Jamie Moran. But Jamie, before I get to you, I have to thank a couple of people. Infinite AA, very generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, when is Xbox going to be able to release a big game a quarter for Game Pass? If Game Pass is to stay viable, we need a steady stream of first-party games. And yeah, listen, dude, here's the thing. I agree with you 100%, and I think that's coming. But we have to understand. And I'm not making excuses for Microsoft. I go at them on a regular basis when they deserve it. When they started to shift the company into we're here and we're serious, it was the mid 2018 when they announced they bought the 5 studios and they created the initiative. You have to think that games take 3 years to make. And we're in 2020. They've had a lot of these studios only 18 months to 24 months. You know, they're hiring on a regular basis. I can't see a steady flow of games until next year. And I mean that. And obviously with COVID, things have really piled up. So, I mean, they're coming. We have to be patient. I know it's hard to say as an Xbox fan because we want what Sony has. We want what Nintendo has. We do. But they are coming. And we do have a peek behind the curtain because we know Avowed's coming. We know Fable's coming. We know 2 New Horizons are coming. We know that they're working on a bunch of, the next Doom is going to be on Xbox. The next Fallout. Some stuff from Obsidian. I mean, there's so much stuff coming out. We're going to get into that in a second with the Xbox. But I just say be patient, and those games will come. Johnny Pattons drops a very generous $5 super chat. Another one. He says, here's what I don't want for 2021. Us Xbox gamers waiting all year just Halo to come out. They better have a banger early in the year. And I believe that they're going to be having an early banger. I have it on good authority that they will. I think next year is going to be a big year for Sony. I think next year is going to be a big year for Nintendo. But I also want to say with confidence, it is going to be a big year for Xbox and their first party in a big way. The Elusive Gamer, what do you think Sony is going to bring in tow tomorrow evening?
Oof. There's going to be around 12 to 15 new announcements. And, the thing is, people say about Sony is, they can get away with not showing much. But shouldn't that not be the case? Like, shouldn't they be held to the same standard, showing new stuff at the Game Awards? That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But like
more to show, they've already shown more. Is the point, isn't it? So they should ratchet. The
thing is, Microsoft have already announced a bunch of games. We have Fable, Avowed, and a bunch of other stuff like Hellblade, Project Mara.
I think. I don't know. I agree with you. Part of me is listening to you. I'm thinking you're right. Why does Sony get a free pass? The other part of me is thinking, well, they've shown Ratchet. We've seen Gran Turismo's gameplay, although we've seen a bit of Forza. We've seen Horizon Forbidden West, at least in engine or whatever in game, and we haven't seen much of the others. But you're right, though. There's a good point. There's a question to be asked there.
Well, these shows are usually about announcements. Gameplay is regardless. We see announcements at these things. It's not a gameplay show. I would just like to see something fresh from Sony. Like maybe they can experiment and discover what the first-person camera is. That would be exciting.
That's a good point, but they've tried doing that and they've flopped hard with their endeavors in the first-person space. They stick to their third-person, over-the-shoulder, forest simulator with daddy issue stuff quite well.
I just like to see them experiment with something new, because like a lot of their games are these cinematic experiences, but I'd like them experiment with something maybe more action focused, or maybe something that's around fun. Like I like, this is the thing about Sony. They announce stuff and then things change, and then I don't know. It's like, remember Uncharted 4 was meant to come out, and then they delayed it, and then a day later they announced the remastered trilogy. Like the next day, it's like, bit convenient, but it's like, I just like them to show, like, announce something and just be different. Like, the thing is about Sony, people are comfortable with them putting out these cinematic games. It's like, why can't people get a SOCOM now? Why can't people get something different? Like again, whenever people mention multiplayer, the automatic response people give is, but third party deliver that.
No, that's nonsense. Yeah, that's nonsense that they say that. It's because Sony's a weakness at multiplayer. Doesn't excuse you that you wait on third parties to do that. Yeah, I agree with you. That's a stupid thing that people say that.
Like, Microsoft needed more single player games, and they're working on a ton of more single player games. But it's like, where's Sony's multiplayer? Like, there'll be multiplayer in the racing game, but where's the multiplayer shooters? Where's the multiplayer action games? It's just, I want to see something fresh. And given that everyone's been stuck in the house for like forever now, like, I think people would like to play something different,
something social as well. You're right, yeah.
And frankly, as me, like, I plan on picking up a PlayStation next year, but I'd like to buy something that isn't another third-person game. I'm going to this objective. I'm looking after this kid. Oh, look, I'm going to this next objective.
Looking after this kid. That's like 4 PlayStation exclusives, actually. Sorry,
it's just, I'd like to see something fresh. And there are rumors of the whole Silent Hill thing, and that'll be third person. Unless it's like PT where it's first person, but it's like, I don't know, man. I just want to see something fresh, because again, we don't see a lot of new things from Sony. We may get new IPs, but it's like, it's more cinematic third person stuff. And I like cinematic third person games, but I like to vary up what I'm playing,
They've really worn that formula thin, haven't they? My impression, my thoughts were, going to this next gen, that won't cut it. If they keep trying to do that, I think people should call them out for it. I've seen like contingents completely deride multiplayer because they're Sony fans, or fanboys, I should say. They all just deride multiplayer, like, on basis that, we've got third parties doing it. No, it's because Sony have flopped in doing that. Same way Microsoft have flopped in delivering single player experience.
Yes, they both need to do better in both aspects, for sure.
100%. And I just think Microsoft had the more exciting prospect. Microsoft are definitely delivering more variety this gen. I can't see Sony doing that. And if they carry on doing the single-player games, which they've said they will do, they've gone on as record to say that we're going to be focusing on single-player games. This is Sony. I just think that's a bit of a cop-out. I just think, well, change the script, or you will get called out. At least
eventually people are going to call them out for it, because people do want multiplayer games, for sure. Jamie, anything else you'd like to add before we get to the Xbox part of today's show?
Just with the whole like Metal Gear rumors floating around, like with the whole Blue Point thing, like, I'd find it very odd for Metal Gear to be shown, considering they just came out with Demon Souls. So like, would it be cool to see Metal Gear? Yeah. Do I want to see it locked to one platform? No. But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, it's rumor. It's a rumor. It's not confirmed from anybody. It's again one of those things that, take it with a grain of salt. Me personally, Metal Gear Solid 1, the original, is in my top 5 games of all time, like Resident Evil 2 and 3. And those have been remade, and I would love, absolutely be beside myself in excitement to be able to see what Blue Point, if in fact they are remaking it, do. Now, of course, does it matter to me that it would be exclusive to the PlayStation 5? Not really, because when I think of Metal Gear Solid 1, I always think of a PlayStation, because that's where it was. So, and I support multiple consoles, so I'm going to play it. I don't care about that. For the someone who maybe doesn't buy a PlayStation, that's going to be forced to buy one, that's who I feel bad for. Nobody wants to have to spend $500 or $400 respectively to play one game. But again, I that would be a big bomb for me. But I do want to move on to the Microsoft aspect of the conversation, because I think this is where we're going to kind of hang around for a bit. Now, Microsoft is in a position of being considered the comeback kid. And you can say that about Nintendo, because obviously they failed with the Wii U, and the Switch is just incredible. Sony didn't have a great start to the PlayStation 3, but came back towards the end, but they dominated with the PlayStation 4. And I see the same kind of resurgence from Microsoft. People can consider the Xbox One generation a failure because they sold half of what Sony did. And potentially eventually half of what Nintendo sold. But I still think it's still my favorite console of the three, for sure, for a lot of reasons. But Microsoft did something last year that shocked the industry. And it shocked the industry in such a way that today, almost a year later, we're still talking about it. And that's because they showed off the Series X 1 year before it was released, and Hellblade. Now, we understand to top that is something that I don't know how you do that. Even if they made me marketing manager for a day, didn't pay me, just let me hold the title and make a decision, I wouldn't know how to one up the ante. How I would respond personally to this Game Awards is I would show actual gameplay of Hellblade 1 year later. That's how I would respond to what we showed, what they showed. And I say we, like I'm getting paid, like what Microsoft showed in 2019. I would also would like to see maybe, because he said, Aaron Greenberg said they have several instances within the show. Now, I don't know if they're making award announcements. Is Phil going to come back out on stage? Because this is not being done in person. This is going to be much different than it was last year because of COVID. Yeah. But I would love some sort of confirmation, and potentially, because we know it's in a playable state. Drew Murray, head of the initiative, has his daughter. He actually tweeted something a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a month now, that his daughter liked the second build better than the first build. So it is a playable game. I don't know how graphically. Yeah, I don't know if how graphically intense it is. Could they have made a trailer? I don't know. I don't know any of these things. I'm not a developer, but I would love some sort of confirmation from the initiative on what exactly they are doing. Is it Perfect Dark reboot? Is it Perfect Dark in the universe? Can we get a 90-second trailer? I would be very excited, but I want to know what you guys think, and especially in the chat. Gaz, we'll go to you first. What does Microsoft bring in tow to the Game Awards, where they know they did great last year? The Series X and S are selling out, and they're doing really well with that. How could they attract more attention towards the Xbox brand? What do they need to do?
Well, the thing is, even though the last time they showed something big that was impressive was last year, since then there's been a deafening silence, in my opinion, as far as their first-party outfit's concerned. Because if someone says, what's the best-looking Xbox Series X-looking game, I'd still say Hellblade, and that was the thing they showed off last year. So it's high time we saw a little bit of gameplay for that. I know COVID has wreaked havoc on stuff like mocap, which is why you probably can't see a lot of Hellblade, or that's taken a backseat because they couldn't even do whole bits of motion capture. But we definitely need to see Microsoft like firing at all cylinders. Show us what these studios that you've acquired are working on. And the Aaron Greenberg's kind of tweet says, well, just temper your expectations. He said that before the Inside Xbox show, and that turned out to be a flop. So I'm just trying to not get excited or overexcited. If we see gameplay for Hellblade, I'll be happy. Although in a way, when I'm saying this, I feel a bit kind of sad. Like, what, really? A year after the first, we're going to celebrate the gameplay, something that we expected to see in June this year. But, for me, the Xbox is the more exciting prospect because of all these studio acquisitions. What are they working on? The initiative is some mega studio, man, with the talent that they've got. So, I'd love to see what they put out there. And they can surprise us. But the thing that Microsoft needs to do And I don't think they should rest on their laurels. Yes, the X Series X has sold well, but they need to show gameplay. They need to show what.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Yeah, great point, guys.
If they don't, then it's a bit of a flop. At least show one thing, man. Let's just show Hellblade, for God's sake.
I agree. You know something. Listen, you bring up a great point. I was having this conversation with my brother Neo Mental this morning, and he was saying that he wasn't racing out to buy a PlayStation 5 because, like I said, Demon's Souls is not his bag, but he can play Miles Morales on his PlayStation 4 Pro that he has. And he said it 100%. I did not need to buy the Series X. He didn't buy a PlayStation 5. He's not going to until next year. But he said I didn't need to buy this console because what I'm playing, I can enjoy on my Xbox One X. And to your point, I'm having a great time with my Series X. I really am. The loading is ridiculous. I'm loving everything that the console does. It's not loud. It's whatever. But I agree with you.
Machine. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that it's high time, COVID or not, that we see something. One of the games that they're working on is in a playable state. You don't have to show 17 minutes of footage. You can put together a scripted, well-oiled machine trailer of Game X, whatever game that is. We know Halo Infinite's not going to be there, and we're going to be talking. Halo Infinite dropped the Halo Waypoint bomb yesterday. We're going to be getting into in really deep discussion tomorrow on Xbox Factor podcast. So
man, I thought we would do it today. I was going.
No. Yeah, that's an hour topic by itself. But
yeah,
I agree with you guys. I think that they need to show gameplay. It would be great because again, 25 plus million eyes are going to be on this event, and it would be pretty dope for Microsoft to surprise us with gameplay from something they're working on. What else do they need to do, guys?
Do you not think they might show like a Halo Infinite multiplayer gameplay? Because that was on the cards. Or they said
I don't think at this point. I don't think they just need to let Halo. They said they were going to give us information at the end of the year update. They did that yesterday with the Waypoint. It was an incredible read. I commented on social media multiple times. I retweeted it. I posted it. I think people should give that a read. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of the people that had concerns for Halo Infinite. After reading that post, and I've read it twice because I'm preparing for tomorrow's show, I am telling you as a fan, a diehard Halo fan, I am not concerned about Halo Infinite one bit. They are
on, man. The article was fluff for a lot of the bits. They did not go
fluff, sure, but at the same time, it gave me confidence that they know what we are thinking and feeling. Again, that's just my opinion. I have strong confidence in what's going to come for Halo Infinite in holiday 2021, which again, Boomstick didn't give them the information. They already knew that the 20th anniversary is November 15th for the Master Chief. I believe that is when we are getting Infinite. But continue, guys.
No, I don't want to be too pessimistic. I'm a massive Halo is my number one franchise, so it kind of hurts the way that everything happened and unfurled. I read that article, and I know you're talking about it in depth tomorrow, so I won't go into it too much. But I just, based on that, I'm glad that they've addressed it. They addressed it before, but from the tone of it, it didn't sound like we're seeing a seismic shift in the visual fidelity of that game, which that didn't come across from the tone that I was reading. And it's a unique article. Ultimately, though, we're still obsessed about the graphics. The gameplay is where Halo is king, and that looked amazing. So whilst I complain about Halo Infinite's visuals, which I still maintain it's a flagship title, it needs to be the best of the best. I'm super excited about, and I don't know how many people in chat are mega Halo fans, but like Zeta Halo, the lore behind that, and Jason Staten in that article actually goes on to say, look beyond the launch, because the story is going to be spoiled for 10 years.
Yeah, he mentioned Halo Zeta, which is crazy.
Yeah, Zeta Halo is huge. Like in the lore, if you read that, and the fact that the game is set on that, there's just so much. The primordial there, the Bendican bias. I'm going to sound like that channel, Halo channel. But yeah, so one thing I want to say, because we kind of get obsessed with the immediacy of things and this might be sounding funny from someone who's just been deriding Xbox for lack of output. We've just started the gen, man, and if Microsoft don't show anything, it makes them look bad next year. Fine, but the what Microsoft are going to deliver this gen is going to be, and you can hold me down on this, but this will be the best generation of exclusives that Microsoft has delivered ever. On
I
the
agree.
Xbox.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind that if like I said before, I went on national TV telling people to pick up the PS4 over the Xbox One. And now I'm saying to people, like, fine, you can buy the play. Both great consoles, both are amazing now off the bat. But the Xbox Series X is the more exciting proposition. Their games is what's going to really, that's what really excites me. The unknowns, the big studio acquisitions, what the initiative is doing. Even Halo, and I would say even Halo, but even Halo with the scope of what it's going for. Playground Games working on Fable. I mean, Hellblade 2, we were so spoiled that we want everything now. And I'm with you guys there in the chat, but damn, man, Xbox is going to kill it, but it'll take a little bit longer. So that's the thing that I want to see. What I also want to see, and I don't have a definite answer to this, is this whole power thing. I am a power, I've got a PC anyway, but I bought the Series X on the premise that there was the most powerful console on earth, which it is, but that doesn't mean anything until you translate that power. So if the PS5 is besting it, or it's near parity, or the Xbox is making negligible gains over its counterpart, the PlayStation 5, that's not good enough. Microsoft marketed this in a way that needs to show those results. So that's what I want to see next year as well. More so than exclusive. Well, as important as exclusives, I want to see those dev tools. I want to see this whole full RDNA too. Whether or not that makes a massive difference, I don't know. But I want to see that power. I want to see that. But generally, man, this is going to be the best gen in gaming for a long time, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I agree, and fantastic points as always, Crispy. For you, being an Xbox first gamer like myself, but we, of course, we can put our heads together and talk about other consoles and other platforms, equally, and still have a great conversation. What are you expecting Microsoft to bring in tow? I mean, obviously, again, Aaron Greenberg saying temper your expectations, but that doesn't mean they're not showing up with a surprise or three.
Well, I mean, Aaron Greenberg said that because you announced a console launch.
Yeah, exactly.
VGAs
Great point.
The year before. So, I mean, to temper expectations, I've had a lot of people already, because like I always say, I have like maybe 13 people blocked, maybe a little bit more on Twitter. And they're like, oh, well, what is Xbox going to do? Announce Cyberpunk being the Game Pass? If that happens, my God, people are going to go nuts. People are going to be pissed. People are going to be happy. It would be very interesting. The only thing I'll say is that they probably have a lot more than a usual game already bought that game. So why not do it? Or why not announce a date when you would have Cyberpunk come to Game Pass? That would be my number one. I think it would be pretty, like, people would be just sitting there like, what the hell? Or they'd be like, oh my God, thank God I didn't buy it. And it would be something that would get gamers into Game Pass. Number two, Hellblade 2 has been thrown to the weeds on the showcase. I feel like there was actually supposed to be gameplay there. I feel like they waited, maybe because of COVID, whatever the hell it is, but they waited. And Hellblade 2, just from what we saw at the Game Awards last year, I feel would bring gamers in. And the only thing I look at is that the Game Awards is going to be a 4-hour show.
Yeah, it's going to be long.
You got to fill that in. So imagine having a 5-minute gameplay trailer of some of these games that you've seen, because they said 12 to 15 unknown games that we don't know about. You know about Hellblade 2.
Right.
You know about Avowed. You know about all these games that have already come out, and we haven't seen enough of them to be excited enough about to go and say this is going to be the next game of the year. You know what I'm saying? I think both PlayStation and Xbox are going to play this game, and they're gonna go tit for tat. And the only thing I say is Xbox has shown very little, and to bookend it, I feel like we need to see something, whether it be a cinematic or gameplay trailer from Starfield, because it's been a few years.
Good one. That's a good one.
And you know what? Everybody's going to say, it's not technically exclusive. Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
It's exclusive. Listen, I don't give a shit what anyone tells you. It's
exclusive.
Why is it not exclusive?
To at least Game Pass. At the least. Okay? I don't know if they're going to play the game and be like, hey, subscribe to Game Pass and you get it for your monthly.
You can play it on PC and you can play it on Xbox, but you're not going to be able to play Starfield on a PS5. That is the reality.
And that's my thought process as well.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it will come out PS5, but that's me.
But at the end of the day, we literally, you got a little tease. That's all you got. You got the basically the Metro Prime, the God of War Ragnarok. That's what you got from them, and it's been a couple years. And Bethesda, they already released Doom Eternal to Game Pass. Okay, it's done. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. They might come out and they might act like it's just Bethesda, and that's it. Todd Howard might come out and might do his whole spiel and act like Xbox doesn't exist. I'm fine with that because we all know the freaking end game. So, you got to understand that like Xbox has so many hands in the cookie jars. They don't care. They don't care if you love one game on one platform or the other. They're trying to release it on multiple platforms. Is PC, it is your freaking phone, for the love of God. Okay,
toaster,
and they're releasing on iOS now. They've already announced that. So they're not playing this game with like, let's just release our games on one singular device. They want to release it on multiple devices everywhere. And yes, some of these games are going to take time. That's why, xCloud is still in beta technically. So they are playing this long game that a lot of people are ignoring. That's just like Phil saying, hey, we were behind. We waited. We wanted that new tech from AMD. Well, guess what? You got to realize PlayStation's using AMD tech too in their freaking console. So why the hell did Xbox wait? There's a reason for it. Don't sleep on it. I'm just telling people.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I still think they could surprise us. It's not going to be obviously as big as a console reveal, and that's fine. They don't need to do that. The console is already out. We're playing it. We own it, and we don't need another big bomb. What we need is games. But let's bring Indie Gamer. Indie, look, one of the things, again, like Sony, Nintendo fosters indies in a great way. So a perfect example, Song of Iron is an exclusive. That's a console exclusive. That game is only available on the PC and an Xbox, regardless of where you play it, whether you put it on your phone, whether you put, on your tablet or on your TV, it doesn't matter. But you can only play it there. And do you expect Microsoft to potentially bring an indie that they have high hopes for to these awards?
I think quite possibly, yeah. They may even do like a reel, but they may do a focus in like the Ascent or something like that. There's been a few which they've shown off. I mean, if you want to get into the one I would absolutely love to see there, which a lot of people would love to see there, which has been elusive. To use our friend on the panel's a little pun there for you, but to use an elusive a game that is gone a little quiet for a little long time. I bet you can guess what it is, and it's The Last Night. If that popped up, I would go mental. But yeah, I feel like that game. I mean, that game. A lot of people
Isn't that development hell now? I really wanted that.
It
game.
was. That's a few years back, but I feel like they've sorted that out now.
That's such a good game, man. Like, I just really want that to happen.
It's happening. That's the thing. I was just going to say. A lot of people are like, "Oh, is it happening?"
Is it The Long Night?
The last night.
Yes. Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
dude, let me tell you something. I've been banging that drum on this show and other shows for years.
He's been banging for years, guys.
Yeah, it was 2017. It was revealed at E3, I think.
Yes, E3, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, E3, and it was a massive deal. Like, it was put in pride of place, and it blew everyone's minds. I've been been dying to play it ever since. It's been one of my most anticipated. I love that aesthetic it's got. Very cinematic feel. Looks amazing. But yeah, I mean, if it doesn't turn up now, I mean, it'll be great if it did. Obviously, I feel like the developers. I follow him on Twitter. He does tweet quite a lot. Sometimes he'll tweet some controversial stuff. So maybe that's he gets into a little bit of sticky ground sometimes. So he's they did have problems a while back with I won't go into it too much. I did look into it quite a lot, and I think they lost the publisher at one point, I think it was Raw Fury they had, or someone like that. I think they lost them, and then essentially I think they're back on track now. But at the end of the day, he's still making the game, as he keeps reassuring everyone when people ask him, "Are you still making?" "Yes, we're very much still making it." It must be so annoying. But yeah, I'm not sure it will pop up this time. But
I'm hearing it from you though. I haven't heard that. So that's happening. Yeah. It's definitely happening.
It's definitely still happening. Yeah, I mean, that's what Tim Torre has been saying on Twitter. He's confirming that it's happening. He's still making it very much. Yeah, absolutely, it's 100%. Unless he's living a double life where he just wants to carry on a lie. But yeah, no, that game would be awesome to see. It looks good. I know Jamie is looking forward to that game, because I see him tweeting quite a lot about it as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in the community looking forward to seeing that pop back up. I'm sure it will at some point. Again, Tunic is another one of those games.
Tunic, I was literally going to say that Tunic and 12 Minutes is another one I'm looking forward to. Maybe that could show up there in a big way.
Definitely. Tunic had an update recently as well. I don't know if you saw that. I retweeted it. It was an update that IGN did an interview with the developer Andrew Shouldice, and he said he's making good progress. There were some new screenshots shown and stuff like that. So yeah, he's making good progress. He's also brought in 2 other people to help him with the level design or something, or rather, so that he can sort of like he was finding himself getting too wrapped up in things and taking too much time over it, being too careful and too basically being artistic and being a procrastinator a lot, much like me. I always do that sort of thing. Just overanalyzing everything. But anyway, it seems like he's making good progress now, and they said 2021. But yeah, he's not locking down a date or anything like that. So hopefully that will happen for Tunic. But that was only a recent thing. So, but yeah, otherwise, the Ascent is looking good. That could definitely come up. I think Psychonauts 2 will definitely pop up on this Game Awards. I say definitely, but that's just what I believe. Obviously, it could well be wrong, guys. But Psychonauts,
actually, that's a good point. You made me realize I forgot about a lot of games there. So you think the Ascent will come up?
I think the Ascent could come up. I think that's potential. I mean, it's supposed to be coming out in 2021, so that's why
I'm thinking that game's going to hit.
Is it early 2021? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were saying that. So I mean, it looks far into the development as well. So but at the end of the day, they, like a lot of indie developers, they won't specify a date until they're ready, basically, to release. Like, it's just the way they do it. Yeah, the Gunk, someone in the chat just said that's looking awesome. That game could come up. Obviously you've got the initiative. It's going to be good to see what they're doing at some point. They're teasing a lot about it, so I think they must be getting ready to show something. Personally, I hope it's a new IP and it's not a Perfect Dark reboot or anything like that. Just my personal thing. I like fresh new games to check out with going down new routes and stuff. The Medium, I think that could definitely pop up as well, because that's very close to release. So yeah, the Medium looks awesome. And one other thing, which is a bit more potentially pie in the sky, but maybe not, is I think maybe Forza Horizon 5 could pop up. This might seem a massive list. I'm not saying that all of these things will pop up as a whole, if you see what I mean. But I think that Horizon 5 is actually more down the line than Motorsport is. I think Motorsport didn't look that far on, in my opinion, when they showed it at the last showing, which I can't remember which one that was. It was only a cinematic trailer that they showed, so there wasn't any gameplay. It was just kind of like.
It was running in engine assets, though. That was an in-engine representation with the real-time ray tracing on it.
Okay.
So it's like July, I think. But I think you're right. I think we had Jeff Grubb on, and he was alluding to the same thing. That just makes sense for Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah, I think so. I think what they're doing with Motorsport is a massive, basically
it's rumored to be a change in tone.
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly.
Which they need, actually, because they got the game, even though they were good, Motorsport series were good, they just got like diminishing returns and people's excitement. So they kind of need to go back and do that. So it's really good. I think Turn 10 is with Dan on, they could definitely do that. That's a good point. I think I'd love to see a Forza Horizon. Oh my god, if that happened,
I think that could happen because they're so well, they're like a well-oiled machine, and they've got it down. It's just essentially changing, the scenario, the setting, etc. They are amazing at churning out. Not churning. That's a negative connotation, that word, but delivering awesome games. It's usually every 2 years. I think they do it, but I think they would potentially have something ready for like September next year, maybe on the horizon.
That would be sick. Actually, that's a good point. Actually, imagine if they did release it next year, and then they had Halo, and they were both good.
Yeah. I mean, it would be pretty strong.
Japan. That would be just
that would be the ultimate for me as well. Yeah.
And the fanboys will say, "Oh, another Halo, another Forza."
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's fine.
They should have Halo and Forzas like that if they were good. So
yeah, strong staples, aren't they? But yeah, I think Motorsport is going to be a lot longer, maybe 2022. I think for Motorsport, and like we say, it's going to be a complete overhaul, and hopefully have a really cool like story mode or something in it. I think that's what lacks in the Motorsport games, is there's not much of a story like driven feel going on. I know it's a racing game, you just want to race, but at the end of the day, it's quite nice to go through a story and become like the ultimate driver or something, like in that sense. But I could go on, but obviously you guys are covering Hellblade 2. That could definitely come up. That would be awesome. But I will stop there. I've gone on too long already.
No, it's okay. I mean, listen,
that was really good takes on it. I was just
fantastic take. No doubt about it. You always come prepared. But look, this is what I want to do is, as we close in on the 2-hour mark, and I think this is important for the conversation that we're having, is we're going to come back around to what we would change. Now, again, we have to be fair here because we don't know what they did differently. The Game Awards are obviously tomorrow night, so but we can look and say what you would like to see change. I'll start, Gaz, for you personally. What changes need to come to the Game Awards moving forward?
I think the Elusive Gamer actually made this point about the transparency in terms of nomination, so that you don't have that kind of controversy. Maybe some gamers' input. If it's the gamers' show, to avoid controversy. At the same time, I don't think they should pacify gamers, because we gamers are such a whiny bunch, he says as he whines about people whining. But I think that point on nominations, people feel like they get snubbed. So there may be an element of let the gamers determine some of the nominations, or some element of it, or some transparency at the very least, because then the list gets announced and everyone gets a bit annoyed. Other than that, I just hope that, and it's out of Keighley's hands in a way, he will secure as many megatons as he can, but I think if they can just do, I like the format. And again, Elusive makes a good point, and he said, well, other award shows don't have these kind of trailers, right? But I like that. That's like a gamer-centric thing. That we love those. That's we do.
Right? Absolutely.
Like, I don't care what someone else thinks is a Game of the Year award at all. I literally don't care. Okay, fine, it won. I mean, that's a lie. I actually do care, because I want the developer to feel recognized. That I would like, especially indie. When you see an indie developer just get recognized and then they go on stage, it means the world to them. That for me is cool. But other than that, I would just say, more reveals, more stuff. But I like the fact that it's becoming bigger and bigger. Like Cast Your Mind Back, gaming was a bit of a Like it wasn't serious. So I just wanted to get bigger, better, and more transparency in the nominations is what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. The nominations is certainly, again, a 90-10 split for a game show that is supposed to be by the people for the people, meaning that it's for the gamers. Seems like it's more of a tagline than it is an ideology. So I agree 100% with you. I think that as you know, again, taking nothing away from the 95 individual sites, persons, peoples, entities that are making these decisions, I feel that again, a lot of people wear their hearts on their sleeves when it comes to a specific game, a specific platform, or whatever. I get that. So maybe somebody can't be 100% trustworthy, but I think, and I agree with you, and I agree with Jamie, we're going to get his opinion in a second, that the gamers, the ones that are actually buying these games and playing these games, should have a little bit more stake in the actual award giving. That's a great point. Crispy, for you, what would you like to see come in regards to change for the Game Awards next year?
It should be voted by the gamers. I don't care about what some asshat that's putting out clickbait has to say or think about a game. You have to either change the nominations or change the format in general and make it about the gamers themselves and have a fan vote. And I think that would alleviate all of the people's issues that they have with this. And I think that would be the best for the devs, for the gamers themselves, for the executives that go and say, well, hey, I put out a game that we didn't think was going to be great, and it turned out to be great. And that's the problem I have. I feel like we're going on these huge budget games for the majority of them, and then there's a few, in between that, are not technically huge budget. But I mean, how much did Nintendo invest in Animal Crossing? Probably a lot, to be honest, because that's a Nintendo type game. But if it's not there because more PlayStation gamers voted for, Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us 2, I'm more fine with that than, taking a certain percentage of what people vote for and then adding it in. I think that's wrong. I think that's unethical. If you feel it's right, that's fine. I mean, but what's to say that a gamer like myself doesn't know more than somebody that's pushing through a game to review it?
I want to 1v1 you on Gears of War. That's it, sorry.
I definitely agree with you. Definitely disagree with you, Crispy. I'm sorry to say. Not that you care, but it becomes like a popularity thing. Sorry to cut you off, but I just feel like it becomes like massive. All it will be is all the popular games, that get a lot of play will be regarded as the best because of the popularity contest. And it will be biased massively from like the ones who play on the most platforms, the ones who don't. But not every gamer will have played every game, so you can't vote. Truly to those games, they won't be able to say, "Oh, that game I haven't played it." But
Okay. So, for example, how many PlayStation gamers have played Doom Eternal?
We don't know that.
Yeah, we don't really know.
We don't know that. That's the whole point.
Here we go. The point is, but there'll be more PlayStation gamers, so there'll be more PlayStation votes on Doom Eternal.
But you're not including the Xbox gamers that play on PC. What I'm saying to you is that at the end of the day, this will be more valued than what we have right now, because we all, in some way, shape, or form, feel there's some kind of bias, even though there's probably not. It's just they enjoyed those games more. But instead of having millions of people voting on it, you have a certain percentage that has the highest percentage to have that game be Game of the Year. It makes no sense. I would rather have PlayStation having more people playing it But still, at the end of the day, all these Xbox gamers or gamers in general could go and say Doom Eternal is more gravitating, a better game than what I've played on PlayStation. Maybe they didn't play on it, but the same goes for the PlayStation gamers. It's just what I'm saying is that I would feel it'd be more valued if it was a truly fan-based voting system. That's what I feel.
There is the one category, though, isn't there? You've got just one. There is the one category where you can do that now. So there is that in there. What you desire is in there now. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah, like fans can pick. There's like
one category is called the player's voice, and you can vote 100%.
Yep. And that's one category.
You're always gonna get this contention either way, man. You're gonna always say people have fudged the vote or something like that.
I think that it's got to be somewhat of an even split. I don't know if that would work, and that would maybe turn some people from naysaying to like, okay, I had an input in this.
I think the indie gamer should be the final judge. That way,
I agree. I think you should judge everything indie gamer. Absolutely.
No AAA game
That's dangerous. Yeah, that would be definitely an indie fest then.
Well, you are called the indie gamer, but indie. Let's continue your point if you don't mind. What changes would you personally like to see come to this award show?
I do understand your Crispy's desires to make it more balanced and stuff like that, but I just like to see maybe, I guess, more it's the obvious, but more indie coverage as well. More, maybe another category which highlights more indies as well. But I going back to the point, I feel like it's maybe if they brought that percentage up to 20% of the gamers or something like that, because the 20% of the vote,
50%, dude. Come on, man. It should be 50%. It should
it's
be
dangerous. The higher you go, though, the more top-sided it's going to make from the votes from other platforms.
Well, I'm fine with that because eventually Xbox is going to come out with a banger, and people are going to be like, "Oh crap, I can't deny that."
The other thing, I know you say there's people who play who put out play the games really quickly to review it, and then just for clicks they're doing it, but it's very small minority of outlets actually do that, to be honest with you. I know that they are reviewing a lot of games, and it is a tough world to be going through a lot of games.
I mean when you put a single player gamer to review a multiplayer aspect of a game, I have a problem with that, and I've seen that multiple times. So I don't value the big wigs, as I like to call them in gaming, decisions over the people that actually play the games and actually enjoy the aspects of the games. I don't value that. It's just like, all of a sudden, Ghost of Tsushima's got a multiplayer now. Well, did anybody review that? What about Gears 5 coming out with multiplayer and single player? That pisses me off. I'm sorry. And multiple outlets freaking changed their mentality because of what they played on the multiplayer to the single player and vice versa. So I don't agree with it. I think it's asinine. I think if the gamers are going to vote for Last of Us 2 to be the greatest game of all time for this year, I'm fine with that. I would rather have that.
Yeah, but if you think about it, you're saying that what you want is fans to vote, and then all the fans are going to do is, all right, okay, what 5 games have we got here? Hades, Last of Us, Animal Crossing,
Final Fantasy 7, Ghost of Tsushima, and
but they didn't vote for the nominations either.
Then what they do is, just going through this at an isolated point at the moment. Then they vote for Hades, or they vote, one game. I haven't played anything any of the others. I'm voting for Hades, kind of thing. And then that's 100% of the vote. And, that happened over and over again because there's more PlayStation gamers and they play on the PlayStation, and that's the game they've played. And all the other games aren't on PlayStation or whatever. It comes very lopsided. Do you get where I'm coming from?
What I'm going to say to you is if you ever watch the Viewer Choice Awards on MTV, okay, most people have never complained about that because at the end of the day, the people voted for what they wanted. And we're talking millions voting for what they wanted. And I just feel like the Game Awards puts itself in a little box, and they say, okay, we're gonna have this game, this game, and this game, and many people haven't played it. You know what I mean? Like you could bring out every game that's been nominated this year, okay, and somebody hasn't played one of them.
I just think it's so funny that we care about so much what someone else votes the game of the year, even like the masses. Like gaming is so different from movies. Like I'm the arbiter in deciding what I think deserves game of the year. For me, Hades is the game of the year.
Me too, out of them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's just not worry about it. Just I would say enjoy it. Enjoy the the razzmatazz of gaming getting its glow up in the mainstream. I like it. I just like. But I understand your frustrations as well, Crispy. You feel like there's inequity. If the gamers had their voice, it would be the gamer-centric show. The gamers are the deciders, and I completely.
Jeff's trying to make it that. So, I mean, make it that for real. Like,
is he trying to make that? I think he's just trying to make money because he's just making it like the Academy Awards and all that stuff.
But you know what?
Cool. I like that. I actually like that. A bunch of panels, whoever the panel members are, it just adds a little bit of that Hollywood type prestige to the Game Awards.
I don't agree. Not when it comes to gamers. I feel like most gamers have their own opinions and they can vote for it, and that's what I feel like. If you're gonna have a voice, like 10% ain't gonna mean shit.
Yeah, James makes a good point.
When it comes to
any public vote can be messed with, and you can see that. Like we had someone in chat in a Boomsticks thing made like 15 accounts or 20 accounts, start spamming randomly.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Like that kind of stuff is like, and I'll say this: do not underestimate the pettiness of fanboys. And I might get hate for this, but particularly PlayStation guys, they have a lot of energy. Maybe because there's more numbers of them, I have seen them go to ridiculous extents.
Yes, and I would have to back Gaz up on that. I have seen, again, each community has their own toxic morons that you want to stay away from. But I will say that the Sony PlayStation, again, it's not to make trouble, but the truth is the truth. I have seen to Gaz's point, the extreme amount of effort that some of these PlayStation gamers or supposed gamers go into to prove their point is quite astounding, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, GamerDaily.com was birthed because of this weird like console rivalry in the one platform which I won't mention the name of, and they will go to another extent. There are always problems. I completely understand. I'm not even disagreeing with you, Crispy. I have a different view on things, but I mean, ultimately, my view is don't let it bother you. Who cares? My game.
At the end of the day, we decide for our personal game of the year. But it would be nice to see what we like get up there and get that prestigious award. Anything else you'd like to add, Indy, before we go to the elusive gamer?
Just that, what Gaz just said is what I definitely agree with. And I don't usually get into tussles with like about this sort of stuff, but I usually focus on celebrating the games that are there, and just enjoy. And like I'm saying, I will just play the games I want to play. But but at the start of the show, I love seeing those indies in those sections, and I love seeing Hades, an indie game, in the actual Game of the Year selection. And it would be so awesome to see that take Game of the Year over everything else. It would be an amazing story.
I would love that as well. I'd love that.
It would be pretty epic if it did, and it would be monumental. But again, my pick is Ghost of Tsushima, not because it's a big AAA game, it's because it's one of my favorite games.
And mine is Doom Eternal. I mean, Doom Eternal is just an epic. It makes you feel like a god, and I love it.
It does, and for a lot of reasons. It is again one of those modern day masterpieces. A decades old franchise somehow came back in a big way, and they just continue to push forward. It's incredible. But let's then the elusive gamer, Jamie, for you as someone that covers this from a professional point of view, because we are all content creators in one way or another. What changes would you like to see come to the Game Awards in 2021?
I would like there to be less focus on advertising and sales and have more focus on the awards, because last year I remember like certain indie games and stuff were getting awards off screen while they were saying, hey, all the Bethesda games are on sale right now. And it's like, that's not why we tune in. and it just feels shallow to me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I just don't like that. I just don't like the over, corporate tone that the Game Awards has, especially when the Game Awards is meant to be an independent show,
Yeah. Good point.
And the whole thing about the whole voting thing, I agree there has to be some change, because it's a bit weird how we have the same talk every year, and there's an obvious pattern. So, obviously something has to change. Do I think it should all go to the public? I think that's a bit risky, because, look at me, for instance. I'm primarily an Xbox gamer. My Twitter is all Xbox. But if I post a question or like a poll, an Xbox-related question or something like that, it's going to be heavily sided to what I want, whether I say anything or not, right? Because by design, all my followers are pretty much going to vote for what I can predict, right?
Yeah.
And that's the same for everyone and every other fan base. And it's like, if a PlayStation account, a similar account that posts a similar post and all of their followers see that, it's going to be skewed the other way. So I don't think we can just rely on the fans, because let's face it, there's more PlayStation fans than there is Xbox fans, and that means there's more fanboys. And they look that this is the thing. There's this huge argument on Twitter right now, why a Sony game has to win Game of the Year, but why can't a third party game win Game of the Year? It's always this thing. I always say it's either Microsoft or Sony. It's like, why can't a third party game? We've had indie games win in the past. Remember when Telltale's The Walking Dead won Game of the Year?
Yeah.
I think that was 2012.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And
Yeah.
it's like now it's like there's this race for it has to be either Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo. It's like, why? And it just feels like this every year. And last night I was going down Twitter and I was just saying, people were posting screenshots of literal arguing online of why The Last of Us should win. And the only reason I saw most pop up was that it's a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
And that just feels weird. And again, back to the whole corporate shtick of it. It is rammed down your throat a bit. You have to admit, I mentioned the whole BAFTA awards thing, and that's very professional. They don't do that, at all. And it's just with the Geoff Keighley awards, it just feels just too corporate. And I know,
after all, isn't he? So kind of,
yeah. I mean, obviously, and the thing is, he's the face of the awards. I get it, but it's like every 5 seconds, he might as well just be on stage going, me, Kojima, me, and it's just I just get this overtone of arrogance and selfishness. Maybe that's just me reading too much into his smug grin, but I can't
argue with that, brother. I can't argue with that. It's your opinion.
It went from the Spike TV Awards, where it was this really super cringe over the top thing, to where Geoff Keighley was taking it in a better direction, but I don't know, man. It screams corporate still, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a great point. For me, the thing that needs to change, and I think I'm not sure who mentioned this, but it was a great point. The Game Awards needs to be moved into January. And I say that is the one line in the sand I am not willing to cross. I say that if a game releases in said year, that game should be available for being nominated. And by trying to get, for instance, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order last year, right? That game released on the last day of eligibility. The last day it was eligible to be picked, and they snubbed it, and it got snubbed again this year. And I think that in itself is a tragedy. Not because they want to put an award up on their mantle, but Respawn has yet to make a bad game, and that was probably one of the best Star Wars games in years. And the fact that we're not even talking about it, it says that once a game is old, there's a very, very small, minute chance that it's going to reappear in some big way, unless it's a multiplayer game. That was a single-player experience that is getting single-player content potentially based on what we heard, but not as of yet. So it's not in the running again. And again, it got snubbed last year, it gets snubbed this year. I think that I understand that they want to sell games. This is a very commercial based show. It's to sell video games also, as well as celebrate. That's why Gaz was laughing in the beginning, that at the end of the day, it is basically one giant commercial. But I think that, to be fair, to have everyone's game have the same fair chance as someone that launched in January of 2021 and releases in December of 2021. They should receive the same fair amount of or same amount of ability to be judged by their peers and not be boxed out because of a specific date. That's why the show needs to move into January.
Yeah, why did they do that though? I don't know what the rationale is behind that.
I don't know. It's always been in December, and again, that probably what Jamie said is because it's very corporate and they're trying to sell the end of the year games that are on sale and this, that, and the third. But I think that if you want this to be legit, if you want this to be looked upon as a legit game awards that does not have this kind of controversy, a game released in the said calendar year that includes 365 days needs the same amount of fairness for it to be judged, whether it came out in the beginning of the year or the end of the year. And I think the only way you can do that fairly, and Jeff's not going to hear this, and that's fine, whatever. But I think that if you want this to be looked upon like the BAFTAs, and you want to say, okay, this is a legit award show, there is no controversy because said game came out on December 17th and our award show was on the 10th. So, stick it up your what. No. I think the way that you do that, and to be fair, is if you release in said year, you should be eligible to be picked if your game is worthy of it. And I'll end it with that. But I do want to catch up on just 2 super chats that came in, and we'll get everyone out of here. Infinite AA drops an additional outstanding and very generous $5 super chat and says, I know this is divisive, but my game of the year is The Last of Us 2. The game hit on every point I wanted it to do, and it made me think and invoke my emotions. Yeah, again, that's probably why I dislike it as much, because even though my emotions were there and it did hit on a lot of great points for me, I just hated the way that the story was told, and I really, really hated the way the 2 characters were depicted. It's just, again, that's why I dislike it terribly. The Living Flame, good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $2 and says, let the critics choose. Let gamers choose who wins. Indeed, That's actually not such a bad idea. But listen, this has been a great 2 hours, 2+ hours. I want to thank everyone that came out. We had over 300 people watching. I want to thank the generous super chats that came in once again. You power the show and allow me to set up these incredible giveaways that Mrs. Boomstick and I do on a yearly basis. And of course, I could not have a show if it wasn't for this outstanding international panel. I'm going to start with Gaz from Game On Daily. Dude, first of all, thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully you had a good time. Tell everyone about your program and where they could tune in.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time just being an arse on the show. This is what I do, isn't it? It's been very difficult. I had to pick a fight, and Crispy was the perfect victim.
Victim?
I knew he was going to get tricked. I'm a genius. No, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone in chat. Great panel. And I love meeting all of you. I've chatted to Crispy before. Elusive and Indy, you guys are great as well. Lovely takes on stuff. Just a very quick outro. I'm the co-founder of Game On Daily. GameOnDaily.com is for content creators, so you can create your content there. If you've got a podcast and stuff, you can just share it out. It's a super dank site, if you don't mind me saying.
No, not at all.
We've got our YouTube channel called Game On Daily, one word. We did a Cyberpunk trailer, custom fan-made trailer that spent weeks doing, and it only has 500 views because it's got violence in there, and YouTube doesn't like that on the algorithm. So found out the hard way. But our trailer is better than what CD Projekt Red put out there. That's it. I said it. Throwing shade at you, CD Projekt Red, if you're watching this. All joking aside, thank you guys. Love you all, and don't ever take anything I say Seriously.
Well, thank you so much for being there, Gaz. Super appreciate that. Crispy Bomb, you are very busy, brother. Not only do you support Double Barrel Gaming by being on some of these special edition shows and Breakfast with Boom on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you also support other shows. Why don't you tell everyone about those programs and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Well, me and Gaz have a little challenge going on here, real quick. So I love it. Like, you know, me and Gaz have been, you know, talking ish to each other for a little bit. So it's always fun. And I mean, shout out to the panel. You know, Jamie, love you, man. And Indy, baby. What's up, buddy? and he even challenged me, and then Gaz. I mean, I know you're sitting there naked behind the scenes, but you know, but it's at Crispy Bomb on Twitter, Crispy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. Hit me up, yeah, Gaz. Go ahead, hit me up, bro. Let's go. and yes, Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. Friday morning. I think we're gonna go in.
Yes,
I might have to take some L's, but hey, I threw it out there. Why not? So, and then Retro is on a hiatus, and we will be back next year. So, you know, don't look for that. And next podcast, 7 p.m. Thursdays. I don't think that's going to happen this week, but we'll see. So, you know, just hit me up, hit me on the Xbox, and have a great holiday.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. And we're definitely going to be going in on Friday morning about the results of what happened, what was shown. It's going to be a great show. King David will be joining us as the special guest on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom. Next up, the Indie Gamer, dude. You know, obviously you are a community favorite, no doubt about it. Do me a favor, brother. Tell everyone about your YouTube channel and where can people reach out to you on social media.
Oh, thanks so much, Boom. Always an absolute honor being on your show today, and really great hanging with Gaz and Crispy and Jamie and your good self, Boom. First time with Crispy and Gaz, and it was a blast. And yeah, we did go head to head at one point, Crispy, but it was a lot of fun, bro. And I've always loved what you do. You know, always watch you on Retro Renegades and everything, and everything like that. So you're awesome, bro. And Gaz as well, and Jamie and Boom, as I say. But yeah, with regards to myself, we have a few things coming up on the channel. I do have a YouTube channel focused on indie games, and we've got a show coming up on the 19th of December, which is actually awards of our own. It's an Indie Games Awards.
Nice. Great.
If you fancy, if you don't dig what you get out of the other awards, maybe you'll dig ours. It's a bit more of an informal approach, but we're doing a bit of. It's 8 p.m. UK, I believe.
Oh, you suck, indie, because I was just about to invite you and two big indie developers onto the show at the same time.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
8 p.m. on the 19th.
8 p.m. on the 19th.
No way. We're going to have to change that.
I can't tell you who the
Anyway, yeah, but I'm just going to say, guys, what we're doing is we're doing a few different several different categories for the Indie Games Awards. We're also going to do a quiz on that show as well. It'll be an Indie Games quiz, and we're going to give away a few things, a few small prizes, etc. But also, sorry if this is a long outro. Also, what I'm going to be doing is a community game of the year. So it'll be a community indie game of the year, which I'm going to pop up a little poll, not a poll, sorry, a post on Twitter, and I'll be asking as many people as possible to vote for your indie game of the year in the comments on the. So if you look out for that on my Twitter is indie_gamer_01. Yeah, like I say, we're going to be doing the vote for the community game of the year, and we'll also on the night as well, we'll be doing lots of different categories for like best debut indie game and all that good stuff, and obviously indie game of the year from the other we're doing, which like I say, other voting as well is sort of more internal, smaller sort of unit of people who are going to be voting. But yeah, for the community one on Twitter, check that out, and I'd love to get as many votes from all you guys as possible on that one, and we'll come away with a winner. If you want to find my YouTube channel, which is, like I say, focused on indie games, and where you'll find the podcast and the show on the 19th, it's YouTube/The Indie Gamer, all one word. And it's been a blast today. Thank you so much again for having me on, Boom. You rock big time, and thanks so much, chat. You're all awesome.
Thanks so much for being here. And before we get to Jamie, JD Gamer drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, we'll catch the show on replay, just dropping some support. JD, thank you so much for your generosity as always. And Jamie, why don't you do me a favor, brother? Tell everyone about The Elusive Gamer, your YouTube channel, and where could people reach out to you on social media?
It's always been a pleasure coming back on, man. And it's been awesome talking to everyone here. Awesome panel as ever. And my YouTube channel is The Elusive Gamer, where I talk Xbox gaming and no fanboy stuff whatsoever, just Xbox. I put out a review for the Xbox Series X a few days ago.
Yes, you did. It was great video, dude. Great job.
Thank you. I mean, the thing is, I had two options. I could have put a review out earlier and rushed it for more views, or put it out later for less views. But I wanted it to be just a better quality video. But yeah. That's views, who cares? But yeah, I have a new video coming out tomorrow, which is again Xbox related, and that should be out tomorrow evening on The Elusive Gamer on YouTube. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's just Xbox and jokes.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being here. And everyone, listen, I hope you enjoy gaming on whatever console you enjoy gaming on. Obviously, tomorrow night's going to be a big night for gaming. I am going to be guest appearing on Wilmy Hood's Ask Wilmy Anything at 8 p.m. on his YouTube channel. Of course, there's going to be a lot of people podcasting. I tried to figure out a way to do it. A 4-hour show, I just could not figure it out. So that's why I figured I would just guest on Wilmy's, because he asked me, and I will break everything down with the panel on Friday morning. Of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me. And he used to say, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week, or say this week. We'll see you on Thursday's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast, where we will be breaking down the entire Halo Waypoint article, along with some big numbers for Sea of Thieves and a whole bunch of other incredible Xbox topics. That show goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Enjoy gaming, wear a mask, take care, and be safe.
What's